in sickness. I live in spinning. The whole wide world is a carousel. I stood in line, and now the ride's beginning. I could still do so much more if I don't kill myself. I live in nausea, internal nausea, in a spotlight shaped like a spiral. I'm a Bible, got sacred idol. If the whole sick world was a smile, I feel sick. Still feel sick. Still feel sick. I feel sick. Still feel sick. Still feel sick. Still feel sick. Still feel sick. I feel sick. Still feel sick. Still feel sick. Smile like a rainbow. Smile like a crescent moon. Just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. Smile like a crack in the earth. Like a curse, like a corpse, like a wound. Smile like a rainbow. Just keep doing what you're doing. What am I supposed to do? Gum stained black hoodie, gray soul, and static in my eyes. Try to see the future, but I'm not sure if it applies. Underwater in a piston makes hurt. Trying to see the world through the anhedonia. Feels kinda like my soul is burned. Too late to find out. Not like the other girls, it's just too evil to be stylish. Don't tell me this is too dramatic, cause I like it. Still feel sick. I still feel sick. I feel sick. I still feel sick. I still feel sick. I feel sick. I still feel sick. I still feel sick. I feel sick. I still feel sick. I still feel sick. I feel sick.
Hello guys, how's it going today? God, it's Empty Head Thursdays, because this is the only way I could do this stream. I don't know what's going on, but I've just been dealing with like horrific sinus pressure, and it's just like it's so much worse in the evening. It's crazy. Like the morning I wake up and I'm like, I'm mostly fine. I can breathe okay, but it's just I'm right up here. Oh, right here. Son of a bitch. Oh man, it's got my my whole head just feels totally just wrecked right now. Oh. Oh. Every so often I get like I don't know if it's just allergies because like I don't know that it really is just allergies because every morning usually when I have allergies it doesn't come with like one second. Usually when it's allergies it doesn't come with like mucus, right? It doesn't come with like phlegm. Like I don't have any in my nose, but it's like some kind. It's a post nasal drip. It's just killing me right now. And it's just an issue I've always dealt with. On occasion, it just flares up. But yeah, all I can do is take like some sinus medicine or allergy sinus medicine. Well, it's pretty much some sinus medicine and like 600 milligrams of ibuprofen at least. That's about all that works. But even then, I feel like shit. Today was particularly bad. Oh, it's so crazy how bad it gets at night. God damn. I checked, I didn't have a fever, so I doubt it's an infection. But it's definitely allergies combined with my throat getting all raw because it hurts to swallow. My throat fucking hurts. When I swallow, I feel like the pressure here, and then like it hurts like the back of my neck. The back of my neck feels stiff. It's just uncomfortable. Oh Lord, I'm a mess today. That's why I said I'm glad it's Empty Head Thursday because I'm just straight up useless right now. Guarantee you that. Utterly useless. I don't even know what I'm planning on doing today. I really don't. I think I might just take some psych tests and just chill. And then if anybody wants to jump on and chat, they're more than welcome to. Just trying to deal with a bunch of messes all at once. Work was rough today too, because like there's some other weird tech issue stuff, and you know I got to work my full shift, but it was just kind of like annoying to get started on certain things I wanted to get started on. That was a little frustrating. For those that don't know, I do like AI sort of work. Just jumped on. Let's see. Oh, Saint is cool. Hold on, let me switch up here. Teddy bear. Hey, what's up, Saintos? How you doing, man?
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, Lord Almighty. I feel like shit, bro.
Yeah, I was listening a little bit to the stream.
Oh, man. You're dealing with allergies too?
No, I was just saying I was listening a little bit on the stream. I heard you talk a little bit about what you experienced.
Yeah, it's fucking ass, dude. I just took, like 30 minutes ago, I took some sinus medicine, or allergy medicine, and ibuprofen. It's starting to kick in, but man, my throat hurts like a motherfucker.
You have cough drops? That might help a bit.
Yeah, but it just hurts when I swallow. So I'm fine as long as I'm not swallowing for the most part. But when I swallow, I feel pressure in my sinuses, and then like muscle pain on the back of my head, like upper neck. So, yeah, that one's new for me. The neck pain. Usually I get just the sinus headaches and the sore throat, but I don't usually get neck pain. That could be unrelated.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels related.
You know,
because when
I get this.
Yeah, feels all connected.
I get this weird neck pain in like the right side of my neck when I exercise. I'm not sure what's up with that. Like when I'm out for a walk, like if I start jogging a bit, then I start getting this pain in the right of my neck. I'm not sure what's up.
Like even if it's just you're just doing a run.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've experienced that. That is interesting. I don't know what would cause that. Human body is a fucking annoying piece of shit. Sometimes.
It is, yeah. Seems like there's more things that can go wrong than can go right, right? Like it's so complex. Yeah. Like most people have some sort of health issue of some sort, be it mental or physical.
Yeah, I mostly have the mental ones, but I do have some physical ones. And sinus stuff makes it like it's so much worse for me because I have a deviated septum. So it just like it just makes it even worse, the post-nasal drip and all that. So what's up, man? Did you want to bring something to the table? Empty-headed.
Yeah, well, I had a few topics.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I had a few topics to discuss.
Sure.
Like
I'll try my best.
One of them is like
I'm kind of falling apart, but I will try my best. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, one of them was like medications. Like I did find, like there's one psych who recommended it was olanzapine, and what was the other one? It was risperidone. It was low doses. They're recommending for like the lack of expressiveness in schizoids was specifically what they were prescribing it for. Yeah, but actually olanzapine is one of the...
Yeah, go ahead.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, olanzapine is actually one of the best for negative symptoms of schizophrenia. Yeah. Like, and it's also one of the best for social functioning. This is in schizophrenia, not schizoid.
What is it? What sort of medication is it?
Well, it's kind of a dirty drug, meaning it does a bunch of different things. But one of the main mechanisms is, the D2 antagonism, which is pretty common for like antipsychotics, I think. I understand. And then it's also an antagonist at like the 5-HT, the serotonin receptor, 2A and 2C, which is like an antidepressant. That's pretty common. Like there's another antidepressant I'm taking, mirtazapine, which is also an antagonist of those receptors. And yeah, so it's decent for depressive symptoms as well. But yeah, it's kind of an all-round. It's used for a lot of things. It's used for OCD. Yeah, I'm taking olanzapine, and I'm taking mirtazapine, and also trazodone. Those are the three things I'm taking right now.
How's that impacting you?
I think it's been helping quite decently. I think, especially, I think it's, of course I can't say for certain, but I think mostly the olanzapine is helping. My prescriber said olanzapine, like the main mechanism, which I think is the D2 antagonism, it takes like a long time to work. Like it takes months before it kicks in. I don't understand the details of that yet. I probably will as soon as I do research on it. I haven't done research on it yet.
I've been taking Straterum for like 2 weeks now, almost 3. That's been actually having an interesting impact on my ADHD issues. Because I thought it might have been connected, and I think it was connected. Remember that problem I always talk about in the morning, where I fall asleep, like at work and everything. Like when I get bored or if I'm not stimulated. It hasn't been happening for like the last week. So it's interesting. It's like a non-stimulant ADHD medication. And I talked to my psych a few weeks after starting to take it, and she said that she already sees that. Just based on my way I was talking to her, like she just sees that seems like I'm more lively, I guess. Like, just more energy or something. Like she's picking up. I'm like, okay. Well, I didn't know this.
Yeah, my psychologist said she noticed differences from my medication too. I didn't ask specifically what those differences were, but she said she noticed something.
Have you noticed anything?
I've noticed differences. Like I do think like with negative symptoms, specifically. Like I think, like I do think schizoid should be separated from like negative symptom schizophrenia, simple schizophrenia it's called. There used to be a diagnosis in the IDC-10. It's removed from the IDC-11, but there used to be a simple schizophrenia, which is just negative symptom schizophrenia.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I think simple schizophrenia should be separated from schizoid. I think there should be, like right now, I think the diagnostic criteria for schizoid are kind of all negative symptoms, or at least in the DSM-5. The IDC-10 has some non-negative symptoms as well. Yeah, I do think they should be separated. Like maybe we should use maybe like ACTARS or maybe what's the other one? Gun trip. The gun trip criteria. Those are probably a good one to use.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of a.
No, for sure. Those are much better criteria than what's currently at least on hand. Yeah, it's interesting though. I wonder if that same medication that you're saying you think works pretty well for some of the negative symptoms, or the one that's used for the negative symptoms of schizophrenia. I wonder if it would work on somebody that is schizoid, but they're more on like the autistic spectrum, which I guess, I mean, we've kind of discussed that you're kind of more on that side of things anyway, and you're saying it's working pretty good.
Me? No, I don't think I'm on the autistic spectrum at all. I think I'm more.
I'm mixing. I had mixed up then people, but yeah, okay. So, but I'm wondering if it would work the same way, because, like I've said before, most schizoids that all schizoids that come across are one or the other, or a little bit of both. So I don't know if it will work on them as well, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it would work for autism, but maybe that's possible.
Not autism
like,
itself, but the negative symptoms that develops because of all the stuff I constantly talk about. You know, like
yeah, that seems possible. Like I think like maybe like alexithymia is like a shared symptom between autism and schizoid.
Mm-hmm.
Like like I think like I mean from what I've read and heard about, schizoid is usually thought of as like a developmental, like what's the word, you know, it's thought to be environmental, like mostly like trauma based.
Yeah.
But personally, I don't really feel that. I feel it's more biological, but maybe that's because I'm more on the simple schizophrenia side, which that's very genetic. Schizophrenia has a heritability of 80%, right?
Yeah. Well,
so like,
yeah, but
go ahead.
What do you think of that idea that I constantly bring up about schizo is essentially just being another cognitive spectrum that would oftentimes get either qualified as you know, some kind of simple schizophrenia or schizotypal or things of that nature. What are your thoughts on that? I feel like psychosis is its own thing. Like I almost feel like psychosis or a lot of the positive symptoms have nothing to do with being on the schizo spectrum, if that makes sense.
I'm not sure I entirely follow.
Like psychosis is something separate that can basically manifest itself. It's like a condition that manifests itself in varying ways depending on the kind of cognitive style of the person that it's affecting. All right. So if an autistic person has schizophrenia or psychosis of this kind, it's going to be a very autistic sort of psychosis. And so the types of hallucinations, the types of delusions are going to kind of be more in line with that cognitive style. Because I've spoken to people that are like both autistic and schizophrenic.
Okay. Because normally schizophrenia and autism are opposite. Like I know genetically the genes that cause autism are opposite from what cause schizophrenia. So the risk factors are opposite. um,
That's interesting
typically.
because there's I've spoken to a decent amount of people that are autistic, but they have sensory hallucinations as well as um, they become like something like
Mm,
paranoia, but is usually associated more to like physical
mm,
features on their body, uh, almost like uh, persistent
yeah,
sorts of like what do you call it,
yeah,
hypochondria and delusions
yeah. Well,
like of that kind.
mm, yeah. Yeah, well, there might be like different types of psychosis. Like like
Yeah.
there's depressive psychosis, right? Like extreme forms of depression can cause psychotic episodes.
Uh-huh.
And then I think there's like a bipolar psychosis. Of course, bipolar is genetically pretty much identical to schizophrenia. Like they share pretty much all genes.
Yeah,
I think there's like
isn't that
what was
what
it?
schizoaffective is?
Um, yeah, because
Schizoaffectivity
I
are
mean,
essentially like bipolar people with
yeah,
positive symptoms.
yes, sort of. But I think you can be. My understanding is you can be either schizoaffective or you can be schizophrenic and bipolar. And like the difference is about the way the episodes align,
Mhm.
right? Like um, whether you're manic and psychotic at the same time that's my understanding. Maybe I don't understand it correctly because I haven't looked that much into this. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, but you can be schizophrenic and bipolar or schizoaffective.
Do you have frogs or something?
Yeah, there are frogs in the background. I can move further away from them or something
Oh,
if they're
okay.
bothering you.
Is that just from where you live, or like are those pet frogs?
Well, we have like a bucket with water in it, and I think we kind of like the frogs, so we've kind of kept it. Um, yeah,
That's hilarious. So they just use it now, the bucket.
yeah. We got several buckets of water, and yeah. They just live in there.
It attracts
Uh,
frogs.
yeah. There's like a bunch of like green leafy things on the top. I don't know what those are. Um, you
Lily
know,
pads.
but like yeah, yeah, they're like mini like tiny little lily pads, um, and like yeah, it's a whole little ecosystem there.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
but
rad,
but
actually.
yeah, yeah, it is. That's why we like it. We keep it around. Yeah.
Frogs are cool, but yeah, it's just that's something that I find interesting, and I wish I could talk to more. I want to talk to more neurologists on the subject, for sure. Because like I'm really interested in what what's like how those mechanisms would then function when it comes to psychosis. Like, how does one differentiate between um, a conventional forms or like stereotypical forms of psychosis with paranoia, which is like the stuff that gets constantly memed, essentially paranoia of institutions, paranoia of otherworldly things, paranoia of impossible things, or groups of people, things associated to things like gang stalking and everything else, right? And then the type of paranoia, say, an autistic person would be dealing with, as well as the type of positive symptoms and delusions that would be more in line with their issues. So I wonder how much of a person's already sort of cognitive style is going to be impacting that. Because like I feel like even somebody that would be neither autistic or on the schizo spectrum, when I'm talking about like cognitive style, not like conventional use of the word, would somebody that has neither of those could also have schizophrenia-like symptoms, but their symptoms would manifest in a more interpersonal way. Like the
Mm,
hallucinations, delusions would be more equidistant. It wouldn't be neither concerned with the highly concrete or highly abstract. It would just be more like your friends, your neighbors, your family, your immediate social groups, and things like that. And like I would assume with those sort of preoccupations, more conventional preoccupations, the paranoia and the psychosis would kind of manifest more along those lines. But I don't know, maybe not. Like, I'm wondering, like, does somebody that is basically like somebody that's just basically their thinking and the way they approach life and their cognitive just style is just very, very normal, except for when they're having, you know, issues with psychosis. That's what I wonder. Like, how often does that actually happen? And like, it would be interesting to talk to somebody that's like, oh yeah, I'm just, you know, a person that's interested in, you know, very, very common things about, you know, relationships and interpersonal connection and in a very common way, but they just happen to deal with occasional episodes of psychosis. That's what I would want to talk to somebody like that, but I haven't. Most of the people I've talked to that deal with psychosis of this kind, that would be considered, you know, something just kind of inborn, like it's not being caused by, like, say, like substance abuse or anything like that. They're usually not, like, their regular neutral state is still idiosyncratic in thinking and
Yeah.
odd.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
a bunch of odd features.
Yeah. Yeah. I think schizophrenia is the main cause of psychosis, but there are other causes, but I'm pretty sure schizophrenia is the main one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm wondering, like I'm wondering about the possibility that schizophrenia and, like, there might be a higher prevalence of schizophrenia within people that are kind of would be outside of the positive symptoms, probably would be considered more like schizotypal in thinking. You know, magical thinking, loose associative thinking, right? And so, yeah, there might be more of a correlation there, but I don't know if it's necessarily, like, intrinsic. Just because, like I said, what would you call that? What would you call an autistic person that has you know, delusions regarding, like their tactile sensory stuff, their skin, you know, basically going down, like, these kind of, like, rabbit holes of not loose association, but, like, statistical possibility. Like, like, that's the kind of delusions I've seen, like, some autistic people deal with when they have those kinds of issues. They basically, it turns into, okay, so, here's a really good example. If, like, say there's a percentage that says, 40% of autistic people, you know, or let's just say, that's a ridiculous number. Like, let's just say it's like 15, what's it? Sorry, I'm like I said, I'm, like, all messed up. Okay, yeah, it'll say, like, 15% of autistic people at some point, you know, I'm pulling this out of my ass, like, you know, unalive themselves, right? And then when it becomes a problem, like, almost delusional in nature, is when they see that percentage and they think that percentage applies to me because I am autistic. You get me? Even if they have no interest or wanting to harm themselves, right? They think they're in danger because the research has that percentage at that state. And so now, like, and it's like a very literal sort of, like, well, I am that, and there's a 15% chance, so there's a 15% chance that I might do it because it says that, you know? So that, and stuff like that, like, those sorts of, like, that sort of thinking with that kind of stuff is what I've seen occur. And it's interesting, and especially, like, online. Like, you know, I know people, like, make fun of, like, lol cows and shit on the internet, but there's, like, a lot of, like, people that that are essentially, like, you know, neurodivergent, and the reason they become, you know, internet lol cows is because they, you know, they're openly showing people and talking about what are essentially delusions and things like that, positive symptoms of sorts, like that they can't seemingly control, and they don't always manifest in, like, the more schizo way. So I think they're just. I mean, is there a possibility that they're just? It's an entirely different thing. Like the parts of, or the components that cause schizophrenia aren't necessarily this the same components that would cause, say, somebody to have schizotypal personality disorder or something. Like they're just
Wait,
entirely
can you
different.
repeat that?
Like
The same
whatever,
components that cause.
yeah, whatever the
Yeah.
factors that cause the type of psychosis we generally see in people that are categorized schizophrenic isn't necessarily the same mechanisms or things that would cause somebody to develop the types of traits that would make somebody be considered schizotypal, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
that's what I mean.
yeah, yeah. From what I've read, like you cannot have uh, schizotypal and schizophrenia comorbid because like schizotypal is basically consumed under schizophrenia. Like it's just redundant, because if
Yeah,
you're schizophrenic, you're pretty much schizotypal, right? Like schizotypal is considered on the schizophrenic spectrum.
yeah,
So schizotypal can be pre-morbid to schizophrenia, right? You can have schizotypal before you become schizophrenic. But when you become schizophrenic, they actually they reclassify your schizotypal as I forget what it's called, but it's like pre psychosis syndrome or whatever it's called. I
yeah,
forget what it's
yeah.
called. Um, um,
That's so bananas to me that they do that, because it doesn't make sense to me that, okay, you have schizophrenia is not considered a personality disorder. Schizophrenia is considered a neurological disorder, correct?
yeah, yeah, or a psychotic disorder is
Or
usually how it's
psychotic
described.
disorder, but it's neurological in nature. Oftentimes, it's thought to be, maybe it's genetic, but also could be triggered by environmental conditions. If the genetic
Yes,
predisposition for it is real,
yeah,
it's very very
yeah,
much born with.
yeah.
But my
Heritability of 80%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I don't understand is, how is it that when you remove the positive symptoms from someone that's schizophrenic, you then re-diagnose them, or would re-diagnose them as someone with a personality disorder? Do you know what I'm
Um,
saying? Like, that doesn't
yeah,
make any sense to me. I can't figure it.
yeah,
It's like if you had like a person that's like like extremely mid functioning autistic, but then when like they
yeah,
maybe they take some meds, maybe they get they get older, they get a better handle on their own issues, and they become more like competent or whatever.
yeah,
What we don't then say, oh, okay, well, they no longer have autism, now it's a personality
yeah,
disorder.
yeah. Well, that's why I think removing simple schizophrenia from the diagnosis was kind of a stupid thing to do. I mean, I suppose they did it because there wasn't quite enough evidence for it or something. I'm not sure why.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that was kind of a dumb thing to do. Simple schizophrenia makes sense. Like, and I think it's a real thing. And it's basically if you're simple schizophrenic, you're pretty much schizoid because it's basically just like a more severe schizoid as far as I can tell.
But
In
but
some
but
ways,
but if you're simple,
maybe not in all ways.
but if you're simple schizophrenic, you can also be schizotypal.
Yeah, yeah, those are compatible. Yeah,
You know what I mean? So, like, isn't it easier just to say, oh yeah, schizo-spectrum?
yeah, schizospectrum. Yeah, like autism, like they
Yeah,
removed
yeah,
Asperger's. They didn't
yeah, yeah,
remove it for this reason. They removed it because the guy was kind of like he was like a Nazi or something like that, or I forget.
yeah. He
Um,
was. It's people that luckily the wave against things like ABA is increasing, and other
yeah,
types of things that came from like not so great people. Like the people that came up with ABA, or the gentleman that came up with ABA, was kind of a piece of shit. He,
yeah,
he wanted to. I forgot the exact quote, but he wanted to turn. His work, he considered, was it was to be used to allow autistic individuals to become people, because they were essentially incomplete people, like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
which is horrific. But but yeah, I just that's kind of what this doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I really do think um, there needs to be a subset of personality disorders that are assigned specifically and exclusively to people of a different cognitive makeup. Like it just doesn't make sense
Yeah.
for like how does the trauma like it how does something like BPD manifest in someone that's autistic? Like what if they endured the same trauma that would a lot of the times cause somebody to develop something like BPD? Um, but you do it to an autistic person, right? What parts of their
Yeah.
psyche are going to be damaged or hurt? What parts of their thinking? How are they going to approach trauma that they endured? And what sort of psychological issues are going? How are they going to manifest themselves? Like it's
Yeah.
definitely not like a neurotypical person with BPD, unless people claim. Well, people talk about how BPD might be a genetic disorder as well, but I don't know. That's like a whole different
hmm
kind of mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can talk a little bit about that. Like I have, um, like I there's if you're familiar with radically open dialectical behavioral
Yeah,
therapy,
yeah.
that is the sort of that is the sort of thing that would be used for schizoid. It's like opposite of what would be used for um,
Hmm.
for God damn it, I just lost the name. But
Autistic
for
or
um, no, for dialectical behavioral therapy
uh,
is used for
I thought that
um,
one was used for
I just
schizophrenia
forgot.
or schizophrenic individuals as well, things like that.
Um, perhaps.
Am I
Um,
mixing that up? Because
uh,
I thought I had yeah. Well,
yeah,
anyway, go ahead.
yeah. No, but it's used for people with borderline. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
right. CBT is borderline. Radically open. Uh, sorry, did I say CBT? I meant DBT, dialectical
DBT, yeah.
behavior therapy. DBT is used for borderline,
Uh-huh.
and radically open (RODBT) is used for things like schizoid. So
Yeah.
one is, and basically the lecture series I saw on RODBT is basically that one is a so schizoids have highly over-controlled personalities,
Hmm.
right? We're highly over-controlled, and um, for uh, for the borderline, it's highly under-controlled, right? That makes sense.
Like
And this
like,
this
are you
was
talking about
described as an
impulse control, things like that, or
yeah, that's part of
part
it.
of it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it. Like the expressiveness. So like she showed a video where this one guy was like really expressive and the other guy was very flat. So like the blunted affect is part of over control. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, yes. So the uh, yeah. So RODBT, used for schizoid, um, and but this was described in the lecture series that's on RODBT as an innate biological thing, right? So like you're born with a set amount of control, and then basically the way I interpret this is that if you have under control and you're traumatized, you become borderline. If you're over control and you become traumatized, you become a schizoid.
Interesting. Okay, well that's an interesting component. Like, but this is what's interesting too. Is it would still match up really nicely with the stuff that I talk about as well, because you might have both under and over controlled um, like autistic people. So that's interesting
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think that's
yeah,
another probably that's what I was about to say. What I kind of forgot to say is that I think that's another dimension.
yeah,
Is probably what you're describing just now. So there's the under control, over control, and then there's the autism schizo spectrum, and
yeah,
those might be kind of two separate spectrums that might
yeah,
overlap
yeah,
and have
yeah.
very interesting
That's
interactions.
interesting. Because like yeah, I can imagine. So like I can imagine that an over control autist that is like grows up in an environment that's not conducive to their nurturing would either produce some kind of they would like they might go the schizoid route, or they might go like whatever it is that would be the equivalent of a more externally expressive version of that trauma response or whatever. Like, I'm just wondering what that would be. Like, how would that look like? Man, that's really interesting. Over control, under control. But that's what's interesting though, is how come? Why is it that if it's just like, let's just say it's just, yeah, that's like it. This just adds to it more, because if it isn't under control, or over control, under control, and it is the autism, the schizo, spectrum, then schizoids are only going to develop on one side of it or the other, because I can't see personally too many neurotypical outside of the realms we've talked about. So even an over control or under control cognitively neurotypical person is not going to develop schizoid personality disorder, because they're probably going to develop avoidant personality disorder.
Oh,
or something.
wait, can you say that again?
Like,
I didn't follow.
So the trauma that I talk about, that I think leads to developing schizoid personality disorder, is specifically about not having an environment in which you can't develop mirror behaviors. I mean, like the behaviors you're supposed to mirror don't make sense to you. The things you're supposed to be motivated by don't motivate you. The ego and the identity that you could have developed doesn't develop, because there's nothing to nurture it or help it grow. And because essentially the way you are eventually becomes incompatible and dismissed, ignored, or people try to fix it, and so on. And so without that specific type of trauma, I don't see how somebody can develop schizoid personality disorder. It requires that kind of trauma in my mind, because I can't imagine how somebody that doesn't go through what neurodivergent people go through in their childhood, especially if they don't have like an environment that is aware of it or conducive to it or rejects it. I don't see how somebody that doesn't go through that could develop schizoid personality disorder. It doesn't make too much sense to me.
Okay, interesting. So you think it's a specific type of trauma that causes it, not the trauma itself? No,
I don't think it's just trauma itself. I think it's a response to a specific type of trauma. Yes, okay. Absolutely.
And yeah. Are you familiar with like schizoid's vision concept of the primary schizoid versus secondary schizoid?
I didn't like fully consume it. Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, okay. So basically the primary schizoid is basically trauma that happens before the stage of individuation, which is like, okay. I think it starts at 6 months and ends at like 3 years. So basically before 3 years old, if you have trauma then, you become a primary schizoid. And then if you have it after the stage of individuation, you are a secondary schizoid.
How can one tell the difference between them? Like, how can I identify it if in fact, I would be considered primary or secondary in this theory?
Let's see. I forget the details. I mean, of course, one is obviously like if you remember the trauma. That's like one of the
yeah, but a lot of people don't remember trauma from when they're like in the individuation years. Like, they don't remember that. Most people don't have 2 years memories at 2 years old that they recall.
Well, no, it's 3 years. Individuation is supposed to end around 3 years old.
Yeah, But what I'm saying, if the trauma occurs when you're 2, it's going to be something probably hanging out in your, unconscious mind, not really something that you're going to be able to just recall and have flashbacks of, Like
Yeah. But I think that would make you.
Yeah.
But I think that might make you. I suppose that might be kind of a gray area because it's kind of in between. But I think that might probably make you a primary schizoid because you're not fully individuated yet.
Yeah, but how would you even know the trauma occurred except for through a third party? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I don't understand how... Because the same trauma that I'm talking about can occur, but... The one I always bring up, but I don't understand how you would even be able to recognize that that's when it happened. Like, what would be the adult behavior manifestations? How would they differ so that you can tell?
Okay, now this I sort of forget, but I think the primary schizoid is more like the personality is more ingrained as part of their identity, right? So, and then I think the secondary schizoid might be more of a mask, if I understand it correctly.
Oh, yeah, but that,
right. So like
I think I
go ahead.
What you're saying, like, so like, no, I get what you're saying. Like something that develops due to. But that's what's so weird. Okay, the reason that differentiation is strange to me, I think it's a trauma that occurs both pre-individuation and post. Throughout, it's just a trauma that happens throughout their adolescence, and they only become usually hyper self-aware of their differences and this sort of emptiness, and this lack of sense of self that's very strong. That doesn't happen until like usually their teenage years, because that's when a lot of the social mechanisms start kicking off like hardcore, and they start getting othered very quickly, or they start othering themselves very quickly, because when you're just a small child, you know, everything is play. So it's, you know, eccentric behaviors, odd behaviors are easier to sort of overlook, especially if the person isn't like severely neurodivergent in some other way, right? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, basically, I don't see why there has to be a separation between primary and secondary. I don't know that there is necessarily. I don't know that I believe there is a separation there, but I'm trying to figure out.
Well, like it's been a while since I watched this video, but like what's her name? Mind. What's her name? Mind Mastery. That was it.
Oh, Joanna.
Mind Mastery has. Yeah, Joanna. Yeah, she has some videos on like a CPTSD, complex PTSD versus schizoid. Right, like there's some similarities. So complex PTSD is just it's just PTSD but from multiple traumas. So that sounds kind of like what you're describing, right? It's just like persistent traumas.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's why I think a lot of schizoids essentially have a form of CPTSD. But it's like, my point is that it's a specific type of trauma that happens to neurodivergent people, growing up, essentially feeling like an alien in their own, with their families, with their communities, with their peers, with their authority figures. All of it is alien. It feels alien, and no one can give you, and you don't know why it feels alien, and no one has the answer as to why it feels alien for most years in your life. It goes unnoticed because they just think you're either introverted or quiet, or you're just highly agreeable because you just, you know, you just kind of just go with whatever everyone tells you because you have no idea what is good or not good to you at that point. And what is good to you doesn't make sense to everyone else, so you just kind of keep quiet about it, to the point where you eventually forget you were ever doing that. Like, so once you hit like your teenage years, you're just like, oh, I don't know what I like or care about. sometimes, and when it comes to this world is like, it starts feeling progressively more empty and rewardless to you. Yeah, I'm rambling a bit, but yeah, I don't. That's interesting. Yeah, I can't conceive of a way that a person that isn't like this would develop this personality disorder. These sorts of behaviors, because for me it all comes down to, why do they stay away from people, right? That's the only question I care about the most. Why do you stay away from people? And the why is more important than the fact that you do, when it comes to determining whether someone is schizoid or, say, avoidant, or just simply paranoid, or paranoid. It's just of, like, imminent threats or something. So like I don't get it. How can a neurotypical or cognitively neurotypical person develop this? Like, have those reasons to stay away from people. They have to have a component of some kind. I don't get it.
I think you're right. A neurotypical person would not become schizoid. They'd become something else, right? Probably avoid it.
Yeah, if they become like a hermit,
that makes
people, and they're not just introverted, but they have like an active fear of others, so much so that like they stay away from them, and that fear is interpersonally based. Yeah, that's you're talking about an avoidant, right? But when you're talking about a schizoid, that's not what's happening. That's never what's happening. Like, every time I talk to them about why they stay away from people, why they don't talk to people for years, why do they stay away from their family, why do they stay away from, how come they're not interested in making friends? Why are you uninterested in romantic relationships? Why are you uninterested? Like, the answers are just generally stuff like, well, because there's no reward there, or I don't understand the point, or I don't get why I need that or want that, or that's not what I want or need. And it's not, I'm scared of being rejected,
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting question. Do you think somebody can be comorbid, schizoid, and avoidant?
Yeah, but the fear... Yeah, you know how? I've seen this happen. It's really interesting. It's the same thing, like somebody could be schizoid with the comorbidity of BPD or anything else, honestly, NPD, because what happens, or what I've discovered happens, and fucking Shadowfall can attest to this, it's pretty funny, and I can attest to this, when the schizoid defenses and trauma is actually like dealt with over the course of specific types of things that I think honestly help significantly. Once a lot of those barriers and that disassociate you from your emotional range, from your sense of self, once the derealization decreases, all that sort of stuff, you actually start feeling your feelings, allowing yourself to feel your feelings, and not either intellectualizing them and discarding them because they're uncomfortable, or becoming essentially averse to them. That eventually they start developing that sort of sense of self, that sort of ego that was wasn't being nurtured and was sort of being ignored for most of their life by them and by others. And once they do that, stuff that was buried down there will start bubbling to the surface, right? It's kind of like what it's like you find yourself, right? But just because you find yourself doesn't mean that self has no problems. You get me? Like, you're gonna find the person you would have been possibly if it weren't for the type of trauma that made you schizoid. But then you still have other types of trauma, other types of issues, other types of history, other types of genetic conditions or things that were essentially being sort of held at bay by your schizoid personality disorder. Does that make sense? Like that sort of disassociation from your emotions doesn't let you feel your own underlying personality disorders. And so I've seen situations where a schizoid is finally, like, after like 2 or 3 years of being on the server, feeling safe, feeling understood, they're able to communicate back and forth actively. Yep. They develop a friendship or two, right? For the first time in their life. And then now they have a human connection, right? And now that they have a human connection, they're sometimes self-aware of it. They're like, why do I fear losing them? I've never felt felt fear about losing anyone. Why do I feel fear now? And it's scary as fuck, because they're like, this isn't what I do. And so sometimes they'll feel, if that happens, some schizoids will just like go, oh, this is bad for me, this is mentally unhealthy for me, and then they'll just cut off contact, right? They'll just ghost completely. And then eventually they return, but they return a lot of the times, or both parties, if they're both schizoid, they'll like be like, fuck this was a mistake, and then they'll just go back, and then maybe eventually they'll talk again and then work it through, because they'll be sort of self-aware of what's happening and what the process is. But yeah, I mean, like I've been dealing with that myself. Like I was I was just texting with Eleanor earlier today, and I was comfortably able to say, oh, hey Eleanor, like after like 3+ years of thinking about this and working with other people and interacting with other diagnosed schizoids and people that deal with this and have the same sort of disconnect for the same reasons and the same similar kinds of trauma growing up and everything else, even if the behaviors are very different, like I've finally been able to overcome aspects of my personality disorder significantly, and I can connect to people now. Maybe not to the degree that a person that doesn't have schizoid personality disorder can, and maybe there's certain caveats and conditions, right, that have to be met that are more stringent, but I can do it now, and I can feel that connection now. But when I was first starting to encounter it, it was scary as fuck, right? Because I was feeling like not needy, but like I was feeling like I want to talk to this person because they make me feel good to talk to them. And in my head, it would just be like, that's fucked up. What's wrong with me? I'm becoming some kind of weirdo freak. Or I'm going crazy, And obviously it's not the case. It's perfectly fucking healthy. And then with other people, I haven't, luckily didn't uncover anything like that, but with other people, they start feeling more like dependent on the other person. They start feeling more possessive if they have a different underlying issue of the other person, right? And those are also new feelings. It's like, why do I feel possessive of the other person? That's weird. I don't ever feel possessive of other people. That I didn't encounter that, but I've had schizoids tell me that are kind of overcoming some of the defenses and the trauma associated. So that's kind of like the shitty part. Not shitty part, but let's just say I can imagine a situation where somebody has so much, like, let's just say a lot of trauma, a lot of CPTSD, that's not just associated to the whole neurodivergency, alien, disconnect stuff I talk about, that they might actively choose to go, yeah, I don't want to deal with any of that. I'm just going to stay schizoid. And I'm just going to stay disassociated, because like they're actually going to have to deal with their trauma. That's what I had to do. Like if you would have talked to me like 3 years ago, and you would have asked me about my or like 4 years, let's just say 4 or 5 years ago, you would have asked me about my history with CSA, I would have just been like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, I would have literally been able to talk about it openly and clinically to anybody, and I wouldn't bat an eye, right?
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. Like, I can do it. I can still disassociate, like, on command because I got good at it. Like, I can kind of still do it. But if I wanted to, like, just be just relaxed and talk about it, talking about it in the way that makes sense to me, like the stuff that actually caused the trauma, not what other people undergo because of it and causes them trauma, the way I perceive the issue and the way I now understand what the trauma was. Yeah, it fucks me up, dude. It fucks me up, and I don't like it'll like make me cry or something. Like it like hurts a lot. It didn't like, even in high school I didn't feel anything about it. But now I do. I feel a lot about it. So that's the rough part. You're gonna feel your trauma.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Like in my case, I feel like my schizoid is pretty much entirely biological. I think I would qualify for simple schizophrenia. There's been times where I've been like pretty much paralyzed, and there is a psychological aspect to that. When I'm feeling good, it's a lot easier to move.
Interesting.
Yeah, but also I've read that OCD with bipolar. So if you have comorbid bipolar and OCD, that increases the risk of schizoid. I think I might have both of those, or at least be on the spectrum. Maybe I don't qualify for a diagnosis of both, but
Yeah.
I'm probably at least on the spectrum for both of those.
What if there's
I don't know how biological OCD is, but
Yeah.
bipolar is one of the most genetic conditions there is.
What if there's a
what were you saying?
what if it's two different things? What if simple schizophrenia is different than, say, what would be like simple schizophrenia isn't a set of defenses? It's like a neurological difference or condition in and of itself.
Yeah.
And schizoid is a set of defenses that develop due to environmental traumas that I'm always talking about. So there's a possibility that someone like you might not be schizoid, but you might be simple schizophrenic, because you're saying that maybe you don't relate to the whole like traumatic part of feeling disconnected, like an alien and all that sort of stuff. Like that doesn't really you don't think that was a big factor for you?
Well, I mean, I would say I feel like disconnected like an alien, depending on what you mean by those. Yeah, I would say that. But that's probably true for like pretty much all schizophrenics, right? When it like any, I mean, or maybe even most neurodivergent people might have some of those feelings, right?
Oh, absolutely,
But I feel like I don't have the same defenses. I don't feel as other schizoids. Like I don't have some of the hang-ups. Like I feel like it's probably easier for me to talk about things than other schizoids. I mean,
you don't have the hyper concern for autonomy.
Hyper concern for autonomy.
Yeah, because that's usually what is like the most prevalent thing in a schizoid is this like super like autonomy becomes their primary driving force above all, which eventually kind of fucks up your life.
I think I would have at least probably higher, at least higher than normal, right? I have a higher drive for autonomy than normal. I think that's probably true for a lot of schizos in general, right? For the entire schizo spectrum, they probably have more drive for autonomy, right? Would you agree with that?
Would that explain? Yeah, that's what's interesting. Because if that's the case, that would also explain PDA. Because
pathological demand avoidance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's a similar drive, but that one's on the autistic side of things.
Yeah. I mean, and there's actually really interesting. I think I mentioned this the last time I was on stream, which is that the negative type schizos, they have you might call it pathological demand compliance. Like I saw this this a psychology video on YouTube.
Yeah.
This psychiatrist, he had these three like schizos that were highly negative symptoms. They were just kind of sitting there doing nothing, and he asked them like okay, stand up, and now turn around, now turn around again, and then just like do anything he says. He asked them to look into his eyes though, and they wouldn't do that. He's like, please, he's like, they want you to look at me, and they wouldn't do that. But basically, I would say they have pathological demand compliance.
Well, that's
So it seems like
interesting because
kind of-
that pathological demand compliance also happens a lot within the autism community or autistic people. Because I've talked to autistic people that
Oh, really? So they're
Yeah.
both.
No, I've talked to a lot of autistic people that in the wild, even like or coworkers, things like that. Because when you're doing AI stuff or tech anything, you're gonna come across a lot of autists, and like diagnosed wise, and that's usually why they like remote work too, because no social problems. But they've described to me situations in which they feel like they become like these kind of robotic people pleasers. Like they can't, like if the people around them aren't pleased with them, they feel like they're like something bad's gonna happen, like they're in danger. Like it causes anxiety, it causes discomfort, like, and so then they just kind of compulsively just go like, okay, I gotta do the whatever they ask of me, whatever they need of me. I have to be useful at all times. I have to be compliant and useful. And so because otherwise they feel out of control, right? And then when you're talking about somebody with pathological demand avoidance, they feel out of control and anxious when they are put in a situation in which a demand is being made, even a demand that would benefit them, right? Is aversive. So even telling them as a child, telling them like, oh, you need to take a shower, like even if they feel gross and they would like to take a shower, now that they're being told it must occur, they don't want to do it anymore. And being forced to do it anyway causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. Like that's what I was talking with PDA Mama Bear about. Like, so to avoid that, you have to kind of couch things with choices, and like you have to couch things that are like, oh, do you want to be uncomfortable and sweaty and like your skin to be dirty? And they're likely going to be like, no, I don't want that. They're like, oh, we can do something about that. You could take a shower. And they're like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And so that'll be the way you get a kid with PDA more likely to want to take a shower. But yeah, it's that's interesting. Like, because then I imagine that somebody with the opposite issue, right, with this kind of like you worded it, pathological demand compliance, I'd imagine they're really indecisive when it comes to being given vague options and choices. You know what I mean? Like, it would probably cause anxiety to be given like big requests.
I don't know about that part, but I do think like I think both myself and my oldest brother, who I think is probably schizophrenic even, like both of us had difficulty making choices, like making decisions, like even like basic decisions.
Yeah.
So sometimes.
Yeah, it was easier if somebody just went like, oh, do this. And then it's like, okay, that's easy. I can do that.
Yeah.
But being told like, oh, what are we gonna do now? You decide what we're gonna do. And then it's a problem. Then it's difficult. Then it requires a lot more resources, and it might cause anxiety in some people, because things like that. So I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. If there's such a thing as pathological demand avoidance, why wouldn't there be compliance? It would stand to be the case, right? That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. but it's also interesting that you would see something like that. Like that's why even within the schizophrenia spectrum of things, I'd imagine there's people that are incredibly demand avoidant and not like demand compliant, in the sense that like I can imagine them essentially becoming so demand avoidant that any aspect of their life being dictated by anyone or anything, including like laws and institutions and things like that, are going to be something that's going to like gear them toward trying to create a life in which they don't have to um do like do anyone's demands, right? They might go want to live in a cabin somewhere off the grid, so by
Mhm.
themselves. So it's
Um,
I don't
yeah.
know. It's
Yeah, so I
interesting.
think you're saying like because of the demand compliance, like they develop an aversion to that. Is that kind of what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that like the way PDA and PDC would manifest for an autist and a schizo would be like apparent based on apparent based on like how aversive or how well yeah but how aversive or how compliant they are to any kind of demand, to the point where even simple requests that aren't demands are avoided. Like how far would you go to avoid any request whatsoever? And I think in some cases they would go as far as um like I said, self isolating, living in the off the grid, learning survival skills and a variety of other things, just to avoid any kind of request or imposition being placed upon them because of the anxiety or discomfort that that causes. Like just become fully
Request
self-sustaining.
causes
Huh?
that
The,
a demand causes.
yeah, yeah.
The
The
ignite,
anxiety is
and
so
this is for
bad.
a demand.
Yeah.
This is for a demand compliant person,
No, demand avoidant
or you're
person.
saying a demand avoidant person.
Yeah, yeah.
Demand avoidant person.
A
Okay, that makes
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A demand compliant person. The difficulties with that is that they're going to be highly anxious when they're not doing good enough or well enough or pleasing, or they're not being
Mhm.
pleasing enough. They're not
Okay.
avoiding conflict well enough. They're not avoiding displeasing or making mistakes of some kind based on the parameters of other people.
Mhm.
Like they would be kind of like their anxiety would be
Yep.
driven by like a compulsion toward making sure that they do
Yeah.
are compliant all the time,
Yeah.
to the degree where it can, like I
Right.
said, be damaging
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. Like they'll be essentially what people call a what do they say? What do they say? Not carpets, rug mats or
Doormat?
what?
Doormat?
Doormat. Yeah, fuck, that was loud. Uh, I scared the
I'm
shit out of me.
loud.
Yeah, for some reason it's just really loud. Let me fix it.
Am I better?
No, yeah, you're good. You're good, man. I can adjust. Just sound loud as hell to me. But but yeah, a doormat essentially of some kind. Somebody might say that, oh, that person's being a doormat, but that person might actually have like a severe amount of anxiety associated to not being compliant. It might not even
Yeah.
be about being liked. Like like it might not even be being driven by a rejection sensitivity of like, oh, I'm not liked, I'm not loved. It might just be like I'm not compliant. I'm
Yeah, it's just
being
like, what are they going to do to me if I don't
Yeah, yeah. What's
comply?
gonna
You know?
happen? Something bad will happen if I'm not
Yeah.
compliant.
I mean, yeah.
And part of
My
being
understanding is
compliant is being
schizoids
liked.
have. Yeah. My understanding is schizoids have like an aversion to conflict, right? Would you agree with that? I mean, maybe not all schizoids. This would probably be the covert schizoids
The
specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I would say schizoids have it's not so much that they have an aversion to conflict. I think they have an aversion to what conflict causes. Like, it doesn't make sense to them. Like, cause it's not necessarily fear based in this case, right? It's more like I don't want to deal with what conflict causes. I don't care enough
Yeah.
about the problem or the thing that I should be standing up for regarding myself, I don't care enough about it. I'm not connected enough to it to then choose that and deal with the consequences of conflict.
Oh.
They just kind of give up and just go,
Yeah,
okay, I don't
that makes
even
Yeah, it's
care.
just like
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, that makes sense.
too much
I agree.
BS.
Yeah, it's too much bullshit. I don't care about it that much. You can have it. I don't care. And you just like leave. When you should have, probably not have done that because they're just gonna do it again and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean-
like parents, I've heard schizoids talk about their, overbearing mothers and fathers that they just kind of comply with, not because like they're scared of them or they
Yeah.
want to impress them, but because they won't leave them the fuck alone unless they do.
Yeah, for me, I think for a long time I was over compliant. I think this was largely probably after my assault. Like that's probably the main time. I assume that's the cause of a lot of my compliance. Like right now, I'm very overt. I've been probably over it for I don't know, for a while, for some years.
Yeah, you've been. I know when we first talked, the first things you told me about were essentially. Now that I think back on it, it sounded like you were experimenting with non-compliance.
When we were first talking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
that
you were
seems
telling me
possible.
stories about how you were kind of like trying to like get a rise or disagreeing just to disagree.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
be
Like I was
contrarian.
experimenting with experimenting with like racism and sexism, like socially, like
Yeah,
seeing
like
how
you weren't
those
even you're not even racist or sexist. You didn't give a shit. But you wanted to be
Want to
non-compliant.
break the rules?
Yeah, he wanted to break rules. And it was like this kind of extreme like experimentation with non-compliance. It sounds like that's kind of interesting.
That was me like a few years ago.
Yeah, you don't even like it's just about causing problems or causing conflict when there doesn't necessarily need to be any. And it's
yeah. Well, I think a lot of it was like I couldn't understand what was people's issue, right? Like if somebody did this to me, I would just be like interested, right?
yeah,
Like if somebody came up to me and was like a crazy racist, I would just be like, huh, like why do you think that? What's up?
yeah,
And I couldn't understand.
and you might, I mean, I would laugh because the ideas are usually pretty shit. And but yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I would be interested, like if I met like if somebody was like, I don't know, there was just some neo-Nazi or something on the internet, and he jumped on like my live stream, and he wasn't just screaming, or he was actually like not what's the word?
Not just trolling.
Yeah, not just trolling and not just like like dropping M bombs and stuff, and they actually like wanted to talk about their serious reasons for why they're like
Yeah, their
like
beliefs.
they're racist or something. Then that would be, besides the fact that I probably couldn't have that conversation on stream because I'll
Yeah,
probably have my
that'd be
channel
banned.
removed. But like in private, I'd be like, "Wow, those are terrible ideas. Go ahead and tell me your will likely be very unconvincing reasons that are probably
yeah.
based on your own personal trauma and history. Go for it." Like I would listen and then I would push back and eventually they might get mad or they might not care. I have no idea. But
Oh yeah, I've encountered like flat earthers on Discord. It's crazy.
like you'll try to like debate a flat earther?
I'm just saying that I've encountered those people before.
Oh yeah, see if I encounter them I don't just call them crazy.
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah, I
like,
want to talk to them.
like, why do you think that?
Yeah.
Like what's going on here?
Usually people
Yeah.
that have like unreasonable positions that are very much based on like personal trauma or like just emotionality or an insecurity of some kind, when you give them enough pushback, even if you're perfectly calm, they get really agitated or
Oh,
they
yeah.
start dropping all the fallacies and they get like real unhappy with
Oh
you.
yeah, that's how it was with these people.
Yeah, like because then they think you're attacking them and stuff.
Like I was just doing like the most like neutral thing of like tell me your beliefs. Like why do you think that? I wasn't even like challenging them or anything, and they were like getting super combative and saying like I was this and that whenever.
Why?
It's
What?
interesting.
Because you didn't actively believe what they were saying.
Yeah, because I wasn't like, I was just neutral and they interpret that as negative.
Yeah. Like that's so interesting. But yeah, it would be like if I met a flat earther, I'd be like, yeah, I don't, I have various reasons why I
Yeah.
disagree adamantly with people that believe in this, but also when it comes to flat earthers, my stance is, who cares? They're harmless.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I like hearing their funny ass reasoning. That's just not very good.
My brother-in-law is one.
Oh, yeah.
Have them on the stream sometime. And but I don't see them as a problem. Like, people that are just, but the only problem with people that are flat earthers is
A lot of them, yeah,
not just
a lot of them
flat
have.
earthers.
Oh yeah, they're like
Oh, it's not
anti-Semites and
just that.
stuff.
Yeah, that's the problem. Flat earthers aren't just flat earthers. That's the only issue.
They're like,
If they were
Is that
just
they're
flat earthers,
evangelical flat earthers? They'll go and tell other people about the flat earth.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that if somebody's just a flat earther and that's it, even if they like
it doesn't really
I know
matter.
what you mean.
yeah, and even if they proselytize on the flat earth,
Right.
it's harmless. It's like,
Yeah, it's just like,
but it's always tied. It's always tied to like some kind of Illuminati, globalist.
yeah, some kind of paranoid like
the
Oh, my brother-in-law told me why it is that he believes
conspiracy.
Yeah, and
he told me why it is that
Usually
he
the-
said it, that the Bible says 40 times that it's flat.
yeah, I gotta look
flat
the number
so there
stuff.
you go.
What were you saying,
Yeah.
Santos?
Yeah, I was just going to say that they're usually religious, and that can be, problematic.
Yeah.
Right.
When
Yeah.
you find a flat earther, you're probably also going to find a complete evolution denier, and also the world's only been around for 30,000 years.
Young Earth creationist.
Yeah, young Earth
6,000
creationist.
year old.
You're gonna
Yeah.
get a young Earth creationist when you get a flat earther.
Well,
Actually.
Yeah, because like that's the only way it makes sense, right? Is if it's like everything else is bullshit, right?
Yeah, and then that same person is probably the same person that believes in David Icke reptilians.
Yeah.
Yeah, and things like that. Like,
I have a reptilian in my house.
I am a reptilian. Fun fact.
yeah, that's good. Like I don't know. It's just interesting how loose association can be taken to such an extreme. And I feel like schizo-spectrum people are more likely to fall into
Yeah.
those traps.
Like schizotypal people, especially.
Well, no, just schizo-spectrum
More like
people in
paranoid.
general. Like, yeah, but like, yeah, if they're high in paranoia and neuroticism
Yeah.
and they're schizo-spectrum, yeah, it's going to be easy for them to like start believing all their loose associative connections that they're making, because they're those connections.
Does it make sense to them, right?
Yeah, it makes sense to them because of all these points of connection. And
Yeah, all these dots.
yeah, but I can see those dots being somebody that's like that. Like, I can see all this. Like, I loose associate all the time. The only difference
same.
is like I just don't give it that much credence as being.
Yeah, I kind of ground myself.
Yeah, like I just go like, oh, this sounds like it's connected to this and this and that and this, and then I go, yeah, that was a fun thought experiment, and then I just go back to doing something else, and then I'll loose associate about something else, or I'll just think it's funny. I'll just be like, oh, that's
It's
funny.
like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird. But if I wanted to, if I wasn't grounded, I could, and I wasn't when I was like in my early 20s. Yeah, I believed some weird shit. Like I was like fucking believing in like reptilians when I was like 19. Like, yeah, like I was like
that's relatable.
Oh, that makes sense. That if because like you're just
It all makes sense. It all clicks together.
that's why nothing makes sense to
That's
you.
why XYZ happens.
That's why the world doesn't make sense, because it's aliens, because it's like adrenochrome.
I'm not inhuman. Everyone else is.
There's or
Yeah.
whatever. It turns into something.
Well, and then the mainstream like narrative of it is that like, oh, these evil cults are like sucking these people in or whatever, and there's no understanding of like the neurodivergence aspect of it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, like, a schizospectrum person doesn't have anyone that can teach
Yeah.
them how to like control their impulses, just like you teach any child how to control their
Yeah.
impulses. That's discipline. You learn discipline. You have to have discipline over your cognitive functions. When your cognitive functions are so different from your environments, no one's going to teach you the right type of discipline for that stuff. They're
Yeah.
going to try to teach you neurotypical discipline, and it's not going to
Yeah,
work
and
that
then
way.
that mainstream neurotypical discipline just feeds into the narrative,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure.
Of
It
like,
feeds into the narrative.
they're lying to us and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, it's like for example, a lot of people that go down that route, whether it's flat Earth, was a fake moon landing, all that sort of stuff, right? Like they they will make a lot of connections, and some of those connections are like legitimate or concerning, but the motivations they assign to them will usually still be, even though it's other people doing it, they'll still connect it to, it'll still be like a framework that's in their kind of schizospectrum cognitive style, and
Yeah, it's like this like paranoid kind of
well, it's being incorrectly applied to
spiritual thing. Yeah.
neurotypicals, right? So, like, think about it. Like, what's more likely? Satanic cults, adrenochrome, all this sort of stuff, or probably more likely that there's just trafficking and
Right. I was like taking
money.
the
It's just being
extreme.
motivated by money and status, and it's just cynical, disgusting behavior that has nothing to do with, like, the Bible and the end
Yeah.
times, and
Yes,
or
like there is a conspiracy,
or
but it's not to the
aliens.
extreme that
Yeah,
they say it
it's
is.
much more. It's
It's
much
a
more
lot more,
mundane.
some are
Okay,
boring.
it's a lot, it's not boring because it's horrific, but it's not
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not like, it's not this grand
like,
narrative.
I believe extraterrestrials are real. I just don't think
Yeah.
they'll ever find us, and
Yeah.
I also don't think they have anything to do with the trafficking people in the government or in corporations do of humans. Like,
Yeah.
but like, but I could see how somebody could connect those, right? Like, if they wanted to, in a variety of ways. But it's simply a lot more boring than
Yeah, it's just money.
it's just money and status and other people with psychological issues that make them either antisocial or just lacking any kind of apathy, including cognitive apathy. I mean, empathy.
Yeah, you
Like,
just
they don't even.
sociopaths.
Yeah, just fucking
We're just
sociopaths.
ruled by sociopaths
I
and
mean,
narcissists.
that's a conspiracy. I do believe.
Yeah, like the whole like Epstein thing with the island and the list and all that.
It's just a bunch of
It's so fucked up.
psychopaths, man, and sociopaths. Like, it's
Yeah.
just mostly like, yeah. Because that's the problem. The psychopath will generally win.
Yeah, they just rise to the top.
Yeah, they generally win. Like, based on the parameters that are in front of them, yeah, they can absolutely win. Easy. You get rewarded for
Yeah.
being a psychopath.
Peace.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think
Yeah,
that
going back to that
think of
pathological demand avoidance thing, I think there's another aspect of it where it's like your beliefs, right? So like they say like for me it was like I would just do whatever they said, right? Because I didn't want conflict. But when they're like, oh, you have to believe this religious thing or this political thing or whatever, I was just like, no, I'm not gonna
No.
do that.
No, that's my space. Leave it alone.
Yeah,
Don't fuck with my space.
it's like I'll do what you want in the physical world, but like in my mind, I'm not gonna.
No, fuck no. Yeah,
Why?
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be like, I was like
I'm
very aversive to that too. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. It's I'd imagine even somebody that's like highly compliant and say autistic might not be as compliant in the category of a specific special interest or two. Like, especially if it includes their mind. So if they're like told, no, you need
You
to
must believe this thing.
this
Yeah.
is true, and it's like contrary to the facts and information that they've gathered in that interest, then they may lie and say, "Oh yes, I do," but they're also autistic people have trouble lying, so they might just
Yeah.
go into a fucking meltdown at that point because it's like, oh, the anxiety of not being compliant plus, you're basically
It's
trying
like
to,
lying is just physically painful when it comes to
yeah, I've
what
heard
I
that from
actually
autistic
believe.
people. They say
It's like I
lying
just can't
is
do it.
physically painful, like almost like like my brain doesn't want to. It makes me really, really uncomfortable because I know it's not true. I know it's not true.
Yeah.
It's like
Like it depends on like how strong I believe it. Like if I'm just being nice to the cashier or whatever
Yeah.
and I don't really mean it, then it's fine. But if it's like a strong held belief, then it's like I just can't do it.
that's never happening. It's never happening. I don't care what happens. I'd rather like die than that because it's awful.
Uh.
Um,
Yeah, I don't like lying, but it's mostly because like I hate when people lie to me.
Yeah.
That's the main reason.
yeah, I don't like lying either, but I know it's a necessary tool. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it
that
is
was kind of
necessary to lie.
traumatic for me was when I realized just how full of shit people are and how just often people lie just because
just because.
they can
Yeah, meanwhile,
or because they think they have to.
Meanwhile, most schizoids are lying because they just don't want to deal with the people at all.
Yeah, it's like
It's not even to get.
is anybody real? Does anybody else exist?
I don't.
Or is it just me?
Yeah, it's funny. But also, like I think most of the time, the times I've lied
Yeah,
in my life is just to avoid dealing with people. Like
yeah. I think every schizoid has to learn to lie to some extent, right?
yeah.
I suppose maybe the overt schizoid can find ways around it somehow, but certainly that is an essential to being a covert is learning how to lie.
Yeah, well, masking, right? Actively masking and being aware of your mask is lying. It's not,
it is. Yeah.
It's not intuitive.
Yeah,
You're like,
and it sucks.
it sucks. It hurts.
It really, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like shit. It takes a toll on you. But what are the options, right? Either mask or conflict. And
Mask or get fired from
get
your retail job.
fired because you asked the wrong questions, weren't nice enough in the right way, didn't comply well enough in the correct setting. Like, it's always like that, man. It's always fucking like that. Withers, don't start talking about the whole problem again because I don't want to hear it again. But Withers was kind of dealing with some of those kind of situations where, like, where you have to essentially like be not duplicitous, but like you have to just be like, don't fix that problem, don't ask that question. Even though like everything in you is going, fix that problem, ask that question, you have to not do it. Because if you do it, it's just gonna make more problems for you. And or not agreeing to go and do something that a family member asks you to do. Like you have to just kind of pretend you can't just do it. You have to pretend you're happy about
You have
it.
to pretend to like it.
Yeah, or that you're glad to be doing it or whatever. Yeah, it's like crazy because then if you don't, consequences. More problems, more discomfort because now they're questioning you. Now they're making accusations about how you feel or don't feel about them. It's like wild, man. How unappreciative you are of things that you should be appreciating, but you ultimately don't appreciate because you don't give a fuck about them. that's
a real problem.
That's the one of the biggest fucking schizoid problems is that or just a neurodivergent problem in general is that part the people applying the significance they place upon their neurotypical motivations and things onto you, like projecting it onto you, and then making assumptions about what you should be appreciating or not appreciating, what you should be disliking and liking, what should you be happy about and unhappy about. It's like
Oh, yeah.
fucking wild, man.
It's like having to pretend to care about like a Christmas present that you really don't give a shit about.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
just,
it's like, oh, well, they're so horrible and rude that, you know, they don't like my present. And it's like, I'm just being honest here. Like, what do you
yeah,
want?
like I if I get a present, like in my head, if I get a present I don't like, well, my first thought is, why do we do this to begin with? Right?
Yeah,
That's thought number one. Like, okay, I know I understand why, Christmas presents happen and it's fine, but point is, like, that's number one. So then number two is, if it's something that I actively dislike, then this person really didn't put much thought into it, so it defeats the entire purpose of what this holiday is supposed to be about, at least according to everyone else. Um,
yeah,
and then and then if I'm indifferent to the present, I want to be able to just go like, "Oh, cool, thank you," and then just set it aside. But I'm not gonna, like, I don't understand why I have to be like, "Oh, wow, oh,
yeah. Well, it was
cool,
amazing. It's what I was wanting.
yeah." Like, that's so weird. That's so fucking weird to me. Like, uh, like I talk to people about like why they do that aren't like me. Like, why do you do that? Like, oh, it's because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. And then I'll ask, but why would their feelings get hurt? Oh, well, because like they'll feel bad that you didn't like the present that you give them. Yeah, but like,
Like,
but didn't they know
but
that?
that's the truth, though. Like,
Yeah, but that's the truth. And didn't they realize that was a possibility that could occur when they chose the
yeah,
present?
like it's not my fault that I don't like it. Like, I
What do
didn't
you
pick
want me
out
to
the
do?
present.
Like, what do you want me to do? Like,
Yeah,
if like, say you asked for something, right? If you actively said,
yeah,
I want this for my birthday, and they get you the exact thing that you requested, and then you don't show any kind of appreciation, then yeah, go ahead. That's a good reason to just be like, wow, this person's an ungrateful kind of little shit. But if it's something that you didn't specifically ask for and they gave it to you and it's not something you like, I don't understand why you have to pretend it's so great. It's so weird. Like, I remember I used to get in trouble for that when I was like a kid, even with my parents. Like
mhm,
because my dad was really bad at giving gifts, and he would like he would give me what I like. Usually, a lot of the times he would give me not what I wanted at all, or what I requested from Santa, if you will. And it wasn't because the thing I wanted was like too expensive. Sometimes it was because he was horrible at handling money. But I usually only wanted like one particular thing very badly on Christmas, even as a kid. And then I would get everything but that.
okay,
Or I would get like the wrong thing that probably cost the same amount of money.
yeah,
And and then I would like say something and then I would get in trouble for that. Like, so like my dad, I remember one year I was asked, I really really wanted a specific uh game for my Game Boy Color. I really wanted it, and I remember like I got some other completely different game, that one that I wasn't even thinking about ever or pining over. And both games were just as new. So they were both new games. It's just one game I had specifically requested and the other one I never wanted. And so when I got the wrong game, I was like, this isn't the right game.
yeah.
And then I was being an ungrateful kid. And I'm like, and then so I had to just settle with whatever game they gave me, but I would just be all like fucking pissed and like sad because I feel like I really wanted the other one. I don't understand why they got this one. And it's
Yeah, it's like
like,
at that point, like
yeah,
if you specifically ask for something and they get you something else,
that's weird.
then it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's weird, man. Like, that's
It's kind
why.
of just like a fuck you, you know?
Well, it's a fuck you, but also like as you get older, you realize the problem with it. As you get a bit older and you start realizing like, hey, how come I asked for this and didn't give me. They gave me something of equal value, but it wasn't the thing. And
It's like they had zero like respect for my preferences.
exactly.
Like they just didn't even think about it.
Well, that or the other possibility is they didn't do anything about making sure they got it, and they waited till like the last minute to try to get it, and by then
Right.
it was gone.
Yep.
And so, but
Or
like,
it just was never available in your area back in the 80s.
no, it was definitely available in my area.
I hear you, but
Because we would
sometimes-
go to KB Toy Store, and it would be behind the counter sitting there, multiple copies,
behind the counter though. Mm,
multiple copies,
Okay.
or behind glass or wherever the video games were stored.
Yeah,
Like,
I hear
it
you.
would be like 10 copies right there, and it's like, oh, it's a month before Christmas, and I'm thinking, I hope I get that. And
Yeah,
so-
but I mean, Angst, bro, they didn't even have their paycheck yet.
yeah, but that's the thing. Like, me and my wife are very different that way. Like,
Oh, I know,
like,
right?
me and
So
my
what
like I'm really cognizant of that stuff. So like me and my wife will buy like we'll buy the main one or two. We'll pick like the one or two probably priciest items that our kids want for Christmas, right? We won't get everything on the list because sometimes it's just not affordable, but we'll get like the most important ones, and then we'll like the primary one or two, and then we'll get a bunch of other stuff at different prices throughout like the like 6 months leading up to Christmas, right? Because we'll be like, oh, this will be a good Christmas present, like 3 months from now, 4 months from now, and so then we'll like grab that ahead of time, or sometimes it'll be on sale, and we're like, oh, they wanted this, or this is something they would like, so we'll just get it now, and then we'll like store everything in like a bag in the garage or something. And then by the time Christmas comes, we already have the primary gift that my child wanted, and a bunch of additional gifts, and we're not scrambling to fucking like, it's so crazy to me. Like that's called like just having a deep consideration for your child and their
right?
happiness.
Back then they didn't have it.
I guess not. I don't know.
No,
It's
dude,
weird.
right? Like in my mom's generation, my mom's all the time telling me about this. She all the time recounts this. It's like some sort of deep trauma for her. She was like, in the generation before mine, it was children should be seen and not heard, and yada yada yada. It was just like it was children were an afterthought. Kind of like a piece of farm equipment.
I'd like to believe that even if I was born in a different generation, I would still be having the same questions. I would probably like if I was like ended up being like the same age, like in like the 70s or something. I would hope that I would have been like that. Well,
You would
no,
in the
but
70s.
that
But if you go
level-headed
back to the
hippie,
20s,
level-headed
if you go back
hippie
to
parent or something.
yeah, I hear you. But
Like,
for the if you go back to the 20s, you wouldn't. If you went back to the 1870s, you wouldn't.
well, it's probably because I no, you know what I think I would do with my temperament being the way it is? I would probably be pragmatic and realize that I can't openly be that way, but I would probably secretly be that way.
You might. Yeah, you
Like,
might be like.
You be covert.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would just be secretly like don't let anyone know I let you do this, or that I allowed this.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, people would spoil one another. People spoil the kids occasionally, but I mean, like back then, man, like it's a hard life, man. It's
Oh, yeah,
like
well, yeah,
people
it
underestimate
depends.
how hard life was then, man. Like people
Yeah.
watched Little House on the Prairie thinking that was like real life or something.
No, fuck
Little
Oh, like
House on
Red
the
Dead
Prairie
Redemption 2.
was in the show. They show it as being quote unquote poor, but you listen to the lady that wrote it, and she was like, "No, we were way poorer than what was in the show." And I mean, we're
Yeah.
like constantly on the edge
Oh,
of
yeah, it's
death.
fucked up.
but even in poverty, like even in poverty, you can. There are, minus obviously maybe you can't do Christmas presents or birthday presents because of obviously, but even in poverty, there's ways to
Yeah, I agree.
It-
Yeah,
it's
It can be
it's called-
considered
whatever,
to your
of the
kids.
It's called giving them a little bit of time, giving them like
Yeah.
what little bit of free time you have occasionally can
Right.
get
But
into
I mean,
them.
bro, like at that time, you wake up and you go to the farm and you come back when it's dark and you go to bed
No, but it
an
wasn't
hour or
every
two
day. It
later.
wasn't all the time every day.
It
They've already
was,
done.
it was, oof.
No, no, no. It wasn't. It wasn't. There was
I
actually
know
like
you're telling me that. You're telling me, and
no,
I've
even
heard that
like
from some people, but it depends on where you
even
were. Like
surfs
it
like
depends on how. Right, serfs were different.
a different
Were different
situation.
things.
Yeah, you can be a
Right. Yeah.
peasant
Like,
and still
but
have
I'm talking about in
plenty of
America,
Yeah.
time for your
right? So
kids.
yeah, like
Well, there's a
America, there's
difference
a story.
between like poverty and like having to work hard and all that, and like being traumatized, right? Like you can be poor and have to work really hard and still have parents who, love you and you feel loved by them and you feel like
Yeah.
they consider you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how difficult the conditions are. You could still make it work. Like let's say you had to like fucking tend to your farm every fucking day, right? Like you're saying. Yeah, what do? You take them with you. You show them the ropes. You let them watch. You talk to them while you work.
Yeah, you bond with them.
Yeah.
People these days got rose-colored glasses on, like you wouldn't believe for the past. Man.
No, I'm saying you just do that. Like
Oh,
you
the past
have.
is
It's not.
horribly
It
fucked
doesn't.
up.
Yeah, it's fucked up, but like
Right,
you
but everybody wants to
include
think
them.
that they were the perfectly moral one back
Oh.
then, when 99% of the population wasn't the moral one back then. So.
Yeah, but there was some, and it had a lot to do with what was being taught and the socialization that was going on at the time. But yeah,
I
of
mean,
course. I mean,
that's undeniable, but where does that socialization come from?
well, from
Everybody knows where that socialization comes from. Comes from material conditions. Even old Marx will recognize it.
well, I mean, yeah, I get it, but material conditions, yeah, I mean, in many ways, yeah, but it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Like I can't imagine any set of material conditions that would make me dismiss and neglect or be abusive to my children.
Bless you.
Yeah, I remember reading about like in third world countries, uh like the parents have a much better relationship with their children.
Do what?
Yeah.
Did bro just say in third world countries they have a much better relationship with their children?
I don't know. I've never seen.
I said I remember reading that somewhere.
It'd be
Might be
interesting.
wrong, I might be misremembering something, but I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, but that's kind of like part of what I'm talking about.
Like it's like a different culture.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter what my material conditions are. Like personally, like I don't see
Right, but Nate, you was raised as a good boy in all this, man.
No,
That's
but
the
like
thing.
if my material conditions, yeah, okay, fine, because I was raised as a. No, I wasn't raised as a good boy. What the fuck?
You was raised as a good boy.
Good old boy.
No, you was raised
No,
as a good
that
boy.
wasn't raised as a.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like there wasn't chaos in my home?
Your
like-
parents probably instilled morals in you and shit.
No, I instilled morals in
They even trying
myself.
to make you go to church house. Didn't they take you to the church house?
I was sitting in the church house, not giving a fuck about what anything was happening.
I was inculcating him before age 8.
Dude, I didn't give a shit about anything that was happening at church. I would get in trouble because I kept talking, and my parents would get pissed, or they'd have to take me outside because I would be sitting there
Yeah.
going, "Hey, why is that guy bleeding from his chest?" Or like, "Hey, what is that
I know
about?"
everybody discounts
Dude,
it.
at church,
Like,
at
what
church,
is-
I would
Why
just
do we have to light these candles, Mom? Oh, because for the Virgin Mary. I'm like, but isn't she
but
dead?
why?
Like, oh yeah, but this, and I'd be like,
Right? But how
Yeah,
does
but-
any of that have to do with anything with the morals that you was being inculcated in? Nothing.
Because-
It has nothing to do with it.
At church, I would just
What?
draw stick figures killing each other on the programs.
No, because I would question the very morals they were trying to inculcate me
You
with.
question them all you like. They're inculcated into you.
The fuck?
I just said
Maybe you, buddy.
inculcated.
don't-
Inculcated.
I didn't get no fucking brain injections.
You got brain injections.
Dude, are you kidding me? Like my moral system is nothing like my parents. Nothing.
Mhm.
Nothing
Mhm.
like theirs at all. The only thing that me and them have in common moral system wise is okay, the overarching don't
Don't murder. Treat
yeah,
people
don't
well.
kill
murder.
people.
Yeah, don't murder.
Uh,
Don't Don't beat
Don't be a
people.
piece of shit.
Don't be a piece of shit. Yeah, okay, wow, cool. I got really inculcated.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
well,
like,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
don't you think like racism like used to be pretty much the norm, right? Like do you
Yeah,
think
like
there's a chance you could be
homophobia.
racist? Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, it was
Homophobia,
the
yeah, probably
norm, but I
homophobia even more.
guarantee you there was a ton of people that were only racist because it was the socially compliant thing to be, not because they
Yeah,
actually believed in half the shit. It was just like, well, I don't want.
yeah. I mean, most people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, most people do most things because it's a socially compliant thing to be. But I guess you're saying that schizos might be an exception
oh yeah.
to applying. They wouldn't
Well,
apply
autism and
this.
schizo,
They wouldn't
man.
apply this.
You're gonna be hard pressed to find a lot of that actually like care about something like just like specifically skin color. Like you're gonna have a tough time. And if they are racist, it'll
Yeah,
be like some weird net of loose association that happened to be
Yeah, some
connected.
like reptilian, like
Yeah, like
flat Earth shit.
if you have like blue eyes, there's a higher chance that you have alien
Dark skin is
DNA.
a mark of
You are in
Cain.
fact
Shit like
a
yeah.
that.
reptilian.
Or you
Uh,
believe
I
like
mean,
some.
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Somebody mentioned homophobia. I think that's a good one because like disgust can come into play with that. Like if I imagine having sex with another man,
Yeah.
I'm somewhat disgusted by that.
Uh-huh.
Um, so like I think that's probably a better example. Like you think,
Okay.
um, do you think you could have been homophobic potentially if you were raised in another time?
Homophobic. If I was raised in another time, because
Angst
I
is homophobic now. What are you talking about? I got the
yeah.
internalized homophobia.
Oh, is that what I have? Yeah, okay. I'm like openly
He's in the
bisexual,
closet.
so but in any case, no, I'm trying to think of anything because I don't nothing I do is for the sake like nothing I do or believe in, nothing I believe in is for the sake of social compliance. Like I can't like where it's just motivated primarily by social compliance. I can't think of that. Like cuz that's
Like
not
in group, out group
look,
shit.
I'm just not that's not important to me like at all. Like I just go like I have to pretend it's important to me in certain conditions like in the past. But it's not important to me at all. So I I don't know. Like I don't know that you can be as inculcated, like Wither said, by if you're neurodivergent by neurotypical sets of moralities and ethics. Like I would have to get like ideas that like, whether it was the church or something, like there would be some idea that's being espoused when I got older because I stopped going to church, but there would be some idea related to like my upbringing, and then I would think, yeah, that idea never made sense, but if you get that idea and do this to it, and then stop applying this to it, and actually do what it's supposed to in this manner, then yes, that could be a philosophically sound position, and maybe I would take it up. But like, that's it. Like, it wouldn't be like, well, I grew up that way, or my parents were like this, or
Yeah, it's always been that way.
it's just like, yeah, it's always been that way. It's all like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. Like, I remember just even as a child trying to deal with the concept of God when I was like little was the fucking weirdest thing. Cause like,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was
did you see that thing that I'd sent you about the anatomy of God?
no, well, oh wait, that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, Doctor
Yeah,
Francesca Pulu.
yeah. I can't remember much of it now though.
Yeah,
But
basically he's just Mesopotamian Chad is basically what it meant. Yeah.
yeah, but what was interesting is just my concept of God as like a 6-year-old or 7-year-old. I could still remember.
Right. So what was it then?
Yeah, what it was then was nothing like what my parents were telling me it was. Like my parents were like in the church was telling me it was supposed to be this like person that watches over you, and even though he does cast judgment, he also applies forgiveness and love, and he's always willing to if you're talking Jesus or God or whatever, he's always willing
Yeah.
to, like, accept them into your heart and all this sort of stuff, and he's watching
That's
your
right.
life, and he's like, but that's what I was being told, right?
Yeah.
In my 7-year-old, 6-year-old head, I was like, why the fuck is this guy watching me all the time? Like, I'm scared. Is he watching me now? Can he stop? Like,
Oh yeah.
is he watching
Oh
me
yeah.
poop?
I remember in
That's
kindergarten,
weird.
like I remember in kindergarten being told like, "Oh, Jesus is everywhere." And I was imagining like Jesus is like in my pants. I'm like, "Oh, get him out! Like this is gross. It's horrible."
Like, why does he need my heart? I need my heart
Yeah.
because it pumps blood. Why does he need my heart? I learned that in school. They taught me in school that my heart is for blood and that it keeps me alive. Why does Jesus want to be in it? That doesn't make any sense. And then I would think, like, I would think it, but even if he wants to be like, if even if by heart they mean like my feelings, that does, like, how would he get in them? How can he get inside of them? And if he can, I'm scared because they're mine. I don't want him to be in my head. I don't want him to have this power over me. This is scary. I don't like it. I'm afraid. Like, how can he be in my mind? How can he be in my heart? Like, stop. Like, no
Ain't that a
interpretation
failure
of
of
that made me feel
imagination?
good. It made me feel very uncomfortable. I did not like that shit, like, at all. God is
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, I would be like, why is he
Yeah,
everywhere?
he's watching you take your shit. Yeah.
It's what he's like, dude. I even when I was going through puberty, like, I was like, I guess the first couple of times I fucking beat my fucking meat when I was like,
He's watching you jerk off.
yeah, like, I was just like, is he watching now? Because I still had remnants of some of those, like, worries. So I'm
He's
like,
still
does he
watching right now.
So
Yeah, grandma's in heaven.
yeah,
Watching you
like,
jerk off.
dude, like, I would fucking have to jerk off under like my fucking blanket.
Angst didn't know that the Lord was inside of him the whole time, watching.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, under a blanket in the dark.
Yeah, I would under a blanket in the dark because, like, I don't want God to see me. Why the fuck is he looking at me?
Is your perv?
Why do I have to, like? And then sometimes I would have thoughts or things that, like, were considered sins, and then but I would, like, sit there and I go, like, like, heresy or questioning certain things, or
You gotta watch that heresy.
or blasphemous words or whatever, like, God damn
Right.
it. And then I would think, like, I remember I was little and I would have thoughts like, why does he care so much about this? Isn't he omnipotent? I don't understand. Why does he care about a word? I'm just a little human. Why can't I say the word? How come I have to ask for forgiveness? Why does he care about that? That doesn't make sense. He's like stronger than Superman. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm reading my Spider-Man comics and Superman and bullshit like that, and I'm like, this guy's like 10 Supermans. Like, how can we so worried about, like, me saying his name in vain?
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. Why would I go to hell for that? That's unfair. I don't like this. And so then, like, I would actively avoid sinful thoughts because I was like, this fucking scary sky god man is gonna, like, send me to hell, and I don't know why, and everyone tells me it's good for me. So, like, yeah, I remember, dude, that shit was traumatizing when I was little. Like, hearing all
Yeah,
that
I
stuff.
remember like praying to God and doing this like thought experiment where I was like, can I make him say whatever I want to say? And then I would just kind of like imagine it, and I'd be like, oh, like I can make God say whatever I want him to say. Like, that's great.
Because I can imagine it.
Yeah,
And if
it's all just
I'm really
amazing.
lucky.
what happened?
I'm lucky I wasn't raised with religion.
Oh, that shit's so scary.
At
being
all.
a neurodivergent kid, man.
Oh
It's just-
yeah,
Religion
It's a
either hell is
nightmare.
scary, or it's really, really, like, comforting to. I know there's, like, religious autistic people, and they the way they interpret it is like, oh, there's all these rules and there's a system and this is how it functions, and as long as I'm following that system, I'm promised a good end.
yeah. The
And then, like, it's like, wow, all I have to do is follow the system. It's great. And everyone's telling me that
yeah
this guy,
rigid rules.
Yeah, everyone's
I
telling
love
me
it.
that this
Or
guy in
get
the
scheduled.
sky loves me and cares about me. It must be true. Why would they lie to me?
Why would they lie to him?
Every Friday, do XYZ. That's great.
Yeah, like so having like that kind of consistency and whatever might make an autist feel pretty good and
Yeah, like
comfortable. Stuff
this
like that.
period of like Lent between this date and this other date, like
And
you have
they'll
to
know
do
all the
this.
dates. They make their religion
Yeah,
very
all
religious.
the yeah.
Yeah, I've seen such cases where an autist makes their religion
Many
their
such
special interest.
cases.
Many such cases. They suddenly become like super autistic about theology and apologetics. It's really
May as well, man.
well, yeah.
Good old
Yeah,
apologetics.
yeah. If you're gonna come autistic about something, might as well, right?
I mean, I think that's probably like not the best thing to be autistic about is religion, because like
I guess it depends on like
depends, I guess.
how far you take it. You know,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
if you
Too.
go too far.
Yeah, like I can imagine like an autistic kid that grew up in a religious household, like even like not, let's just say a semi-religious household, right? Like a kind of religious household, like moderately religious. Them growing up, and if they made their own religions that much of a special interest of theirs, like they end up like separating from their family because it's not orthodox or correct enough.
Right.
Because like it would be like,
Well,
well,
I'm
that's
just
not.
imagining like an autistic Jewish kid, like going through like the all the like super specific Jewish laws and stuff, all the
Yeah.
like kosher,
Being like,
like
why aren't you guys doing
food
this? It
laws, all
says it
that.
right here. The book says this and says this,
Yeah, it's
and we
like
have to do that. And if we don't do this according to this, it's really bad. And we have to do it because that's the rules and that's the system. That's how it functions. And you're not doing
and they
it.
become like a rabbi or something. And they're
Yeah,
like
an autistic
passing
rabbi.
judgment on everyone else.
Yeah, it's just, and they
They
might not
become a
even.
prophet.
They might not even be a firebrand. They'll just be like, oh no. They'll just be like, no, that's not what it says.
And just like, no, this is what the Torah says. Like,
It says it
you
here
don't
in
understand.
this way with these words.
Yeah.
And this is the interpretation that theologians in that particular, religion
Yeah, this is what
determined based on this.
these
and that.
prophets meant.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't just be these prophets meant. It would be
Yeah.
this is what the long bibliography of theologians that have interpreted all the information pertaining to what the prophets meant eventually concluded based on generations and generations of theological study. Like they would put more weight on that.
Yeah.
And
the whole like genealogy of it.
yeah, well, just a bunch of stuff. It's just really interesting to me, like how you could take it to that degree. Like, that's funny. That's a funny thought, though. An autist becoming like a rabbi or a priest because they took the religion that they were born into upon themselves.
I feel like Judaism would be better suited to that than Christianity.
Oh, because it's no,
because it's more like law based.
That's true. There's like a stronger kind of working system.
It's more like like Christians don't like kosher stuff and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you got the 10 Commandments, I guess.
Yeah, well,
but I mean,
so do Jews.
Yeah, well, it's duh. Yeah, but yeah, I guess there'd be less system to work with. Like I don't know, like would like would an autistic that grows up in a like a Hindu family have any issues?
Like Hindu, like
because they're like a lot, or Buddhist,
Muslim.
Well, no, because even Muslims have like a lot of laws and conditions.
Yeah, they have Sharia.
Yeah, but
I mean, like Buddhist, like because Buddhism is very like personal. It's a lot more personal than like Judaism or Christianity. It's a lot more like based on experience, right?
Yeah, and the self.
So I feel like Buddhism
probably not be a good autism religion.
That could be interesting, like an autistic Buddhist being like, no, like this is how it is.
They
might,
they might like, I don't know. They might create a system out of like how like the material world and nature, and find like biological evidence for why Buddhism is like the only option, as far as how to deal with whatever evolutionary, bullshit.
Like suffering life and all that.
Yeah, whatever evolutionary bullshit caused the human brain to seek out the metaphysical.
Find their own system towards enlightenment and be like, no, this is like the best system. Like, you don't understand. Like, this is like, I worked this all out.
I got it all worked out.
This is how you attain nirvana.
Yeah. It wouldn't be like
You guys want to hear about my new religious system?
Yes.
I would love to.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Oh,
Didn't make one yet.
Yeah, make one, yeah. Yeah,
I'm excited.
Withers is still doing the thing where he's doing it because it's socially compliant to be a part of the religion that he's in.
Soon I have to start my own cult and make several $1 million, and then
Withers is going to become
bang all the women, get them all pregnant, and then
televangelist. Withers.
And
50 baby mamas.
Charlie Manson too.
Yeah. You're gonna wear like a crazy wig.
Walk around in a robe.
Golden trim robes.
Gold robe.
Socially acceptable schizotypal.
Oh yeah. No, not televangelists. Those are just religious.
You're just grifters.
Those are just psychopaths using religion to.
Yeah, they're just sociopaths.
Yeah, that's all of those.
They just know how to push people's buttons.
That's why half the
to
time
make them give money.
televangelists that blow up to have the fucking mega churches end up like
They're so fucking creepy.
Yeah, they're just into all kinds of creepy shit.
They're just
the opposite of everything that they preach behind closed doors.
You just look into their eyes and they're just dead inside. It's like insane.
It's just funny, man. Like they're like, they can found out all the time. It's like, oh, this.
Who's that guy who said that that an airplane is just like a tube full of demons or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Remember that guy?
Dude, that guy's nuts. That guy, I don't think that's religion, man.
Why do you give him money? I don't understand.
Yeah, he's the guy that got memed into infinity, right? Like, cause his eyes get crazy. It's like that.
Yeah.
That dude with like
Yeah.
And he just like his eyes look all demonic, and then it's fucking nuts. Cause he's had like a bunch of probably like plastic surgery on his face or something.
Yeah, he's like, God wanted me to get a private jet so that I don't have to fly with demons, whatever.
It's so funny. Demons.
Because how can I be close to God if I am with the peasants?
Airplane full of non
full peasants.
Super funny, man. Yeah, those are just psychopaths. That's not religion doing that. That's a psychopath using religion and people's need of it.
It's crazy how people fall for that though. It's like I take one look at him and I just get creeped out, and it's like, how do people not see this?
Yeah, like even if the same guy was talking about like how to like
this guy should be on a street corner, like.
But even if he was like
ranting about nonsense,
even if he talked about how to bake an apple pie like the same way, I'd be like, dude, this guy's fucking nuts, like scary.
Oh yeah, if he made like a YouTube tutorial about like how to boil an egg, I'd be like, this guy's fucking crazy.
Or I would think it's satire and laugh my ass off.
Yeah,
because it's like, how can any human behave this way? This is fucking hilarious. His eyes are bulging.
But people used to throw money at him.
Huh? What was his name though?
For some reason, schizoids seem to like have a much better sixth sense for like narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths.
Oh yeah.
Antisocial PD.
Yeah.
Like I mean, why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I would assume it's because those are the types of people that would most likely want to take your autonomy away from you.
That's an interesting one.
But
I feel like it's kind of like the polar opposite of schizoid, right?
The narcissist actually has the empty inner core as well.
Oh, interesting.
We may just be able to recognize the empty inner core.
Oh yeah, we're just seeing it in the void. We're just seeing it. We're like, oh, there's a void.
Yeah, we're vibing with
another possibility is that we're just more detached and observant. Like, because I think like psychopaths, I think, are also really good at detecting. Psychopaths, I think, are extremely good at cognitive empathy. Right? They're like ridiculously
Well,
good.
in their case, it's not empathy. It's like I don't even know what you would qualify it as.
No,
Cognitive understanding.
there's
Cold empathy.
Yeah.
no cognitive. Yeah, there's cognitive and emotional empathy.
Empathic.
They're
No,
two
I
types
know
of
what you're
empathy.
talking about. I know what you're talking about. But like, a psychopath sees and understands other people's suffering.
Yeah, it's all intellectual.
And then he doesn't create like a system of principles and ethics. He decides, I must exploit this.
Yes, oh, this person feels this way, and I can exploit it in XYZ ways.
No, I think even like a schizoid that has mostly cognitive empathy and they're like detached from some kind of affective empathy or emotional empathy, they still are, even if it's unknown to them or it doesn't feel that way, they're still emotionally connected to the principles and ethics they created for themselves. Like they're connected to those things and the ideas of this and that, right? Like it's like, you know, it's that's why they don't choose to just be like, oh, I might as well exploit this. Most schizoids aren't exploiting people actively for their own hedonistic pleasures.
Yeah.
I may have to start.
I read this. You can go first.
Oh no, I was saying.
Sure, I'll go first if you're not gonna. Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say I read this really interesting article about psychopaths. They actually have the ability to turn the empathy on and off. So like you put them in an MRI machine and they watch something happen, and like their mirror neurons don't activate. And then if you ask them to empathize with the person, then they do, right? So they look similar to a normal person.
So what makes them make the choice to not have it on more often than is it because it requires like cognitive effort to like
They just don't want to.
No, yeah, I think it's because presumably I assume because like they just
like,
don't
oh,
care,
this person
right?
isn't valuable
like,
to me.
It's
so
unpleasant,
like,
right?
Give a shit, right?
Yeah.
Unpleasant. No, but that's what's so interesting, right? If it's unpleasant, but you can still have it and you can still feel it, even when you turn it off, you know it still exists and you know it's real, but you're just
right, but it's off, so you don't feel it.
So you could still develop a set of principles and ethics and everything else because you know it exists even if I don't feel it, and so then you would still make the choice of you still have that choice of, okay, am I just going to shut down my empathy and then just exploit and use people, or am I going to recognize that I shut down my empathy because it's uncomfortable to have it, but I know it's real and I know suffering exists in the world and that I empathize with it, so I'm going to act.
Well, I wonder how many like psychopaths are just living their lives as just normal people, right? Who just
you think that's
do
them?
normal
Maybe
things.
Maybe that's them. That's that psychopath.
Like they say that psychopaths tend to be either criminals or like CEOs, right? But maybe there's psychopaths who are just normal people who are just like
CEOs aren't normal people.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
like,
why.
Like the typical image of a psychopath is either like a CEO, degenerate criminal or a CEO.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't know.
And I'm saying maybe there's like a portion of psychopaths who are just normal people who are just like.
Oh yeah, it's there's a word for it. There was a lady that like did a video on YouTube where she talked about being a psychopath. It's called oh man, there's like a word for it. It's a type of psychopath that is like aware that they're a psychopath but they actively choose to not
probably like
not be a piece of shit.
Not give in to whatever impulses or psychopathic rage they may feel. Like and so
like a benevolent psychopath something.
Yeah, some shit like that. I think it's benevolent psychopathy or
pro-social psychopathy.
There you go, pro-social psychopathy. There you go. There's pro-social psychopaths.
Yeah. I would estimate it's probably actually like a silent majority of them You know, like most
Yeah.
psychopaths probably just live normal lives.
Yeah, they probably just
Yeah,
they
my-
probably
my
just don't want to have
source-
to deal with people, you know.
Well, I mean,
Just too much work.
those are the people you should be scared of when all hell breaks loose.
Oh yeah, when like
When the institutions collapse and
yeah,
consequences run
or
amok.
even when you're just friends with one, and you're ever falling out, and they just completely stab you in the back, just without remorse.
Well, because you're no longer an object that deserves empathy.
Yeah, because they're just like fuck it, like
Oh yeah,
you don't deserve empathy anymore, so I'm just gonna completely fucking fuck you over.
you've lost that privilege.
Yeah, I've had to deal with people like that.
Oh, man. But I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about like the ones that like, are pro-social because of consequences that they're trying to actively avoid. And
Right, they're
then
just like, I just want to
not go to jail. I
take the
wanna-
path of least resistance, right? I
don't
want
want to go to jail. I don't want to be murdered or killed or put myself in physical danger. So I'm just going to comply, even though I feel nothing and I feel little to no empathy for any of the people surrounding me. Those are the people that just live they just comply with ethical systems because of
Right.
consequence. And so then
Yeah.
when shit goes haywire, they're fucking scary, man. Like those are the ones that
Oh yeah.
come out of the
Well,
woodwork.
that's
Yeah, they just
They go on a field day. I'm assuming. Like I just imagine like what was that stupid Rick and Morty shit? The fucking that day where like everyone just starts killing each other, like the purging, or it was like the purge,
purge.
but they called it something else. Or was it just purge or the purge, or some shit like that? Like
there was a purge planet.
yeah, the purge planet or whatever. Yeah, like when that.
As I understand it,
Go ahead.
yeah, as I understand it, like majority of psychopaths will misidentify morality with what is socially acceptable at any given moment in history and their specific culture.
That's what I mean.
Right.
So like
Mhm.
that's why the worst fucking Nazis were like.
Yeah, that's
that
why they
guy.
rose to the top.
But they were
Yes.
that guy. They
Yeah.
were that guy that was like just living a compliant life. Oh wait, now it's socially compliant to, hate the Jews. Okay, I can do that.
Oh, based.
Oh, now it's
And then
socially
there are the
compliant to
ones
hurt
who
others.
will have, and there are the ones who will have like their idiosyncratic codes or whatnot.
Now we can take out
Yeah.
all
Totally
my
and thoroughly
rage
based.
on innocent people.
Yeah, well,
Based.
they're idiosyncratic codes based on like what's primarily the most emotionally beneficial to them.
Yeah, perhaps. There's a bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, there probably is. But that's really funny. Like, just thinking about that guy, because that's why. I don't know if you guys have ever read this book, but there's a book called was it Ordinary Evil, or am I remembering correctly?
The banality of evil.
No,
Like
it's
talking
like
about.
well, no, but I think it's about.
Isn't it about some like Polish officers who like
Yeah, that one.
killed a bunch of
Yeah,
innocent
that
people or
one.
whatever?
And then like before they did all that, like they were just like
just like
Joe
random
Schmoes.
dudes?
Just Joe Schmoes, and that some of them were doing it because of fear, some of them were doing it because of shame, and then there was the other ones that were doing it because that's who they were. Like they didn't even care. Like they didn't even care that it was.
Oh yeah.
Like they didn't even care who the target
Yeah.
was. It was just like this is
They just
awesome.
like to kill people. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, this is great. Like, I don't just tell me who the bad man's is. And that's
Stomp on
it.
all these fucking ants.
I mean, that's a lot of the.
My source,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
my source for this is a YouTube comment, so it should be taken with a massive grain of salt. But they said that psychopaths were like 16% of the population.
What? That's too high.
Sounds about right.
1%.
Yeah, I mean, typically psychopaths are said to be 1% of the population, but I think that's probably more like the overt psychopaths.
Yeah, it's more like the
Yeah, you get
degenerate,
people
like
that have some
criminal.
psychopathic
Like,
tendencies or whatever like that.
Yeah, that's interesting to think that. What if it's like let's just say it was like 10%, and only 1% of them are actually like overt, and like most of them, like the 8%, are still human, so they're still really afraid of consequences and bad things happening to them, so they're just covert.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I
and
said,
the
yeah.
Could be. That seems a little high to me still. I wouldn't think
Yeah,
one, two,
I'm just.
three.
I know. I'm just
Yeah.
bullshitting.
Yeah.
Numbers.
Maybe it's
But the,
like
the
having
treat,
psychopathic traits, but I don't know about.
Well, I guess having
And, you know,
psychopathic traits is different from being a psychopath, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Because you can have a
Yeah.
few psychopathic traits without being a full blown psychopath.
but the treatment for antisocial PD is like usually based on like how treating others affects yourself. Like that's usually the treatment.
Yeah.
But I assume if it's treated in childhood, like if you can identify it early, like presumably most psychopaths are just socialized to be more or less normal people, which normal people are pretty shitty. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but they don't behave like psychopaths.
You're talking about like a. I know it's a show that started good and ended up bad, but you're talking more of like a Dexter Morgan, minus the homicide, the secret homicide. Like
Old
you know,
Dexter.
yeah, but it's like I'm thinking of Dexter if he didn't have a compulsion to kill people.
Yeah.
Like so,
Always.
but
But there
basically,
would have been no show.
but just basically having whatever other impulses under control because of the sort of socialization that they received as children. Like
Dark passenger time.
And Dark Passenger.
yeah, so it's just interesting to think about that one. But that's why we can't let. That's why when people say shit,
Well, he had a lot of childhood trauma, right?
yeah, but that's why accelerationists are stupid. I think it's stupid because like chances are like if things get that bad, like you're not
Yeah, you're just gonna
you're
get fucked over.
You're just gonna get killed by that
Just some psycho.
that handful of neighbors that are psychopaths because they're gonna be willing to do what you're not willing to do. There's gonna be like principles and ideas you'll die for. They won't have as many of those at all. So like, you know, they're not gonna hesitate as long as you do to pull the trigger.
Being an accelerationist doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to have to go fight psychopaths in the woods. Angst, what the fuck?
No,
Yeah, it
no,
doesn't mean like Mad Max, like
no, I'm saying well, it
Apocalypse.
depends. It depends on what it is that you're trying to bring about, I guess. It depends on what you're trying to accelerate, I guess.
yeah, what are you accelerating to?
Yeah,
Question.
but usually it's like some kind of societal collapse because, you know, a rebirth will come from it or something.
Yeah, but the societal collapse doesn't have to be that bad.
But even if it's kind of bad, like it's
Well, what if the accelerationist is the psychopath?
Yeah, what if
And they
he
want
is,
that.
Angst? How about that?
I mean, that makes sense because he would want to be that would make sense if they're they're psychopaths because then they just want to break free of their restraints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't like these restraints.
Psychopaths going to do against my
Wanna go
bandit
violent.
gang anyway. I mean, what the fuck,
Yeah,
man?
I want to be actively
Bandit gang
violent
gotta
and
fucking
be
know.
excused to be actively violent. I remember a long time ago I talked to a guy who basically I had to like kick from the server because like he was like making like arguments for like just, you know, just not okay shit, and they weren't even that sound of an argument, or they were sound arguments if you just have no empathy. And so like he was like making arguments like that. I'm like, oh man, like are you just I was asking him like, are you just being an edgy like guy? Like what's going on here? Like what is this shit? Like, and then they were like, no, I mean what I say. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like that shit's pretty fucked. And they're like, yeah, but I mean it's logically sound because who cares? It's not hurting me. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, I'm like, and then I remember I asked him the question of like, hey man, if there was like no like laws that would stop you from doing this thing that I don't want to repeat, would you just do it? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, bye. Like I'm like, damn, that's some terrifying shit. It was like no
it's crazy.
no beat, no heart, like no skip, just a straight, just a flat yes.
It's like, yep.
Yeah, I would do. I would like. It's like, oh, would you kill people if there was no law against it? Yes. It's like, what the fuck, man? He's just gonna.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of people I want to kill.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
wanting
but I'm not sure
to,
you got to really kill them though, just because.
yeah, wanting to
Build
is
them in
very
Minecraft,
different.
maybe.
Yeah, we'll say in Minecraft, but point is, wanting to is very different than being able to say yes. I would do it, and literally think like, you know what I mean. And I guess it depends on the conditions and everything, right? Because there is such a
Like,
thing as pro-social killing or whatever.
like
So
Yeah. Because a lot of the people I would kill would
jackasses
be
who
like
know.
psychopaths and stuff.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's such a thing as pro-social killing. I get that, but
Yeah, like
but
Dexter, right?
yeah, but I'm talking about somebody that would be like, oh, if there was those laws, would you commit murder? Not just like some kind, not killing, but we're not talking about that
Just
nuance.
like
Just
kill some
murder,
random person.
like an
Yeah.
innocent person, and they're like, yeah. Why? Oh,
Yeah, sounds great.
I just think it sounds fun. It's like, what the fuck, man? No thanks. Now those are the people you can go ahead and
Man,
put somewhere
that's so fucked.
in Minecraft and put a
Yeah.
TNT box on them.
Yeah. Ban them permanently from the Minecraft server.
Yeah. Yeah, I was that was always a weird one. I remember I got into like an argument a while back. Oh, I gotta stop the stream. I forgot I was still doing it. I forgot I was still streaming.
Always done.
Yeah, but no, I remember a while back I was having some kind of back and forth with somebody about I don't know if it was one of you guys, but the whole like psychopaths like having empathy, even cognitive empathy for psychopaths. It's just like the argument of whether you should or shouldn't. Like, and I was kind of arguing against it because it just doesn't make sense to me to have empathy for someone that will actively not care about, not possess and not care about. And it's not even like a situation of like you have to hate them, right? It's not a situation of like, oh, I have to hate the psychopath. No,
Right.
it's just there's no reason. If you, in fact,
It's like tit for
if you
tat,
show
right?
them, no, it's not even tit for tat. You're actively putting yourself in a dangerous position by giving a psychopath empathy because they will
Well,
exploit
by
it.
tit for tat, I mean like, you show them empathy, but they don't show you empathy.
No,
right?
but that's that's what I
So,
mean. Well, it's like that,
yeah.
but you're not even just not getting like it's not, it's beyond the, what's the word, what is it? It's beyond reciprocal altruism, right? Because like, yeah, you have a situation where when you're being altruistic, you hope that other human beings will reciprocate that altruistic stuff, like to some degree, right? Like, so you don't, you get what I'm trying to say. It's like that reciprocal altruism kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you be nice to someone so they are nice to you.
Yeah. So let's just be respectful to each other, since respect is something we mutually want, right? But yeah, but if somebody's like, if somebody's just disrespectful to you when you're respectful to them, then that's like just a person that is unproductive to having your life, and that you should just cut out of your life, right?
Yeah,
But
they've broken that reciprocal empathy.
or that altruism. Yeah, but if you're talking about a psychopath, you're not. That's not what's happening. What's going to happen is they're going to reciprocate in order to find more opportunities to exploit. Like, so like, if you know somebody's actually a psychopath and you're like, oh, we have to empathize with them, it's not their fault they are that way. And I get that. That's true. There might be a lot of genetic components about that, but you're still opening yourself up to danger.
Right.
I guess if you're like so altruistic that you're willing to open yourself up to significant danger for the purpose of like some kind of principle or something,
Yeah.
but if you're doing that on like a societal scale, that could be really bad. I mean, yeah, that could be really bad.
Yeah, I would say for a psychopath, you have to protect yourself first, right?
Yeah, put yourself first. In their
Like, you
in the
can't
case of a
assume that they're
psychopath,
just a normal person, because they're not.
No. That's it. If somebody is known to be a psychopath or is diagnosed a psychopath, you cannot. You put yourself first. Be the most selfish human being you could possibly be when you're interacting with them.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Like you have to make 100% sure that you're protected first before you
Yeah,
help
your
them.
safety is
Yeah.
the most important thing because their
I like
safety is their
Because
most
you're just an
important thing.
NPC to them.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Relating to something. Relating to something said a moment ago, psychopathy is genetic, right? Sociopathy is environmental,
Yeah,
but psychopathy is genetic.
yeah, that's why. It's like it's not even a hatred. It would just be like, yeah, we can't have these people in
Yeah,
society.
it's just protective.
Like, so just if you don't want to
It's
like
just
if you
pragmatic.
don't believe in like rounding them up and doing something horrible, then we have to just go ahead and put them somewhere else. Like they can't be in society. And if we can like somehow if they're actively or if they're overt, more specifically, right? Usually they go to prison, but unfortunately, some overt psychopaths know how to
Yeah,
really
they
work
become
the law.
CEOs,
Yeah, that's why they
they
need to
become lawyers.
that's why they want to be they become CEOs so that they can live out their gross impulses like in secret. I think that's
I
why
think it's
Fancies.
kind of I think it's kind of interesting because when people like when narcissists for instance go to prison, like there's this idea that prison essentially like de-narcissizes them.
Mhm.
Like maybe because of the like psychopathy is highly associated with the need for respect, and you just cannot exist as a narcissist displaying all these maladaptive behaviors if you want to get along in a system like
Oh,
that.
if you don't want to
So,
get murdered, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like imagine being a
But
narcissist and acting like you're better than everyone else in prison. You're gonna fucking die, dude.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
but
unless you're
anyways,
the
it just
buffest guy there,
Yeah,
you can
unless you're
just
the
beat everyone's ass.
buffest, meanest guy there. Yeah, I guess.
Full of
so with that,
tats,
like
bald.
with that respect sensitivity, I don't know. I think there are certain situations. Obviously, you have to look after your own interests first and foremost. But as far as like a psychopath giving you mutual respect, I don't think it could be like out of the realm of possibility or something.
Well, they might, but if they do it, it's because
And that is if they're like super transparent about all their fuck shit or whatever.
yeah. But like if they're doing it, it's because of it benefits them to do it because of social consequence and social status and gaining it in order to attain more personal gratification or
Yeah, it's all a
something.
game.
It's just a big game. It's a part of the game to be nice to you. But that's what I mean. Like you're putting yourself in a compromised position. If it's not a game to you, it's a game to them. They're playing a game. You're
You have to
living
play a game.
life. That's if that makes sense. Like if the game changes, they'll turn on a dime.
Oh yeah.
It just
Well, the
becomes,
question
what are the
is-
game's rules?
If they can ever be like rehabilitated, right?
I don't know.
If they
I don't
can-
know. I don't think psychopathy can be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
Like at no
Like-
risk. At no risk. No.
Like
Unless you
for
do genetic
my
engineering
own,
or something, I guess.
yeah.
Or produce like a medication or
I
something.
don't know, give him shrooms.
Or just do something. If they figure out a way to like somehow like fix that part of the brain that makes it so they can just shut off and actively shut off empathy and just do whatever impulsive shit they want. Strategically, then yeah, sure, that's real. But can you talk them and hug them and
Yeah, can
can you love them out of being a psychopath? No, that's not how that works. It's like trying to love the schizophrenia out of somebody.
that'd be nice.
But you can't socialize them.
Yeah, but that's too dangerous. Like, why?
You're gonna fuck everyone over.
Like that's the problem. Like, you could socialize them, and
Yeah, they're just gonna get better at the game. They're
yeah,
gonna be better at fucking everyone over.
game, and then they'll be compliant only until they don't have to be, and then all the things that you socialized within them are based on consequence. And if
They're
there's
gonna
no
become a politician.
Yeah, if they put themselves in a position of power where the consequences are reduced significantly, they're gonna use that every time. Like it's just no.
Or become a politician or a megachurch.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like this former
Yeah.
psychopath is a one of the kindest humanitarians on the planet, and he's made millions, and he spreads his millions everywhere. But then like he's like has like a secret weird like
Oh
underground
yeah.
fucking bullshit or something like
Harem.
some
I don't know.
scary
Do you
shit.
think a psychopath could be taught to like value some sort of abstract ethical principles?
No, I don't think so. Why?
I doubt it.
I don't. Why? What would be the argument in their head? Like that would make it like you have to make it like it's kind of interesting.
It has to be like a logical like
It has to be like
argument.
completely rational, logical, and beneficial to them to want to do that. And it wouldn't
I
be.
guess maybe unless it's like some kind of like psychedelic, like shroom induced like
Maybe.
epiphany or
But
something.
if they could
where
bring
they
it,
realize like
but they would have to be able to actively bring it back.
yeah, but then
with them.
they have to be connected to logic. All right.
Yeah, it have to be something like that. I can't imagine a different situation.
I could look
Yeah.
at maybe taking on an ethical code as kind of being like a challenge or something, right? Kind of like a thrill-seeking thing.
After like I'm this
Yeah,
like
but what happens
Superman
once they
because I'm
get-
this super ethical person or whatever.
Yeah, but once they get bored of that, it's
Yeah.
unmotivating.
Sure.
Man, that falls apart real quick. Or once it becomes too inconvenient and they give up on that game because that game sucks. Because that game does
I
suck.
think
but it's-
some of them
Yeah, it
can
does.
push, like
It's fucking
self-development
bullshit.
to the point of purely just being driven by boredom and like thrill-seeking activities. My opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens a lot of times with psychopaths. They're looking for thrills, and they'll find them where they can get them.
Yeah, because the really interesting thing about psychopaths is they don't respond to punishments.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like it doesn't stop them from doing it again?
Like they don't have fear, for example, right? Like so like they do these studies where they shock people, and it's like if you get this question wrong, you get shocked, right? And like
Hold
a
on.
psychopath won't really.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
I think
It's like
I don't know if you're
Pavlovian
still-
conditioning.
I don't know if you're still there, Melee, but why would I stigmatize all PDs? What does that have to do with psychopathy? That's not the same thing. Psychopathy isn't a personality disorder. There's usually a personality disorder associated with it, but it's like
It's
literally
antisocial.
antisocial, but it's literally something neurological that we have no control over, and they have no control over, that could be actively dangerous to the people around them.
Yeah, but isn't there usually like a neurological correlate to most personality disorders? Like over
Yeah, I mean,
time,
yeah,
if your
there's
brain
always
is
some
operating
element.
in specific modes that require certain like physiologies, then it's going to show up in the brain somehow, probably.
Like, I'm all for theoretically, like, not
Yeah.
like I just can't
Not shit at people, but at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
I
you have to
just-
protect yourself.
like I
You know?
like
yeah,
okay.
yeah, no, like yeah, self-preservation.
Like if somebody was
foremost, but,
around,
yeah.
if somebody was around me and my family, and they're like, oh hello, they're like, oh yeah, and I meet them for a little while, and then they explain to me how they're a psychopath, but they're recovered. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm not gonna let you around my family and children. I apologize. I guess I'm a piece of shit, but I can't take that risk. I just can't. It's psychopathy. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
take
like-
it. Like, what do you
It's
want
like
me
you can't help it, but I can't help it either. So,
I
like, what do you want me? What do you want me to do?
I'm not talking about just
You know?
specifically ASPD, because that could be somebody that's ASPD could be that way because of a variety of reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean psychopathy, does it? Is it
Yeah, I
always
feel like there's a
psychopathy?
difference. I feel like there's a
don't-
difference between like prejudice and self-preservation.
Because I've seen people that are like ASPD or whatever, but they actively are like disrespectful or really defensive, or like, I got to get you before you get me type mentalities
Yeah.
because of
Right.
fear and because of
It-
trauma, not because
Yeah, but then there is the whole myth of
psychopathy.
the fearless psychopath too.
Yeah, that's true.
So I gotta miss that.
The
What was
level
that?
of their divergence from humanity is like, often anxiety inducing for them as well.
Yeah, that's
I
fair
can see
too.
that.
Oh man, it's just such a rough spot. It's such there's no
Yeah, it's
that's-
like it's
that's-
not their fault, but it's not my fault either. So
it's not their fault, but it's not my fault, so why should I take those risks?
yeah, why should I? Yeah,
Like those significant risks.
I certainly would not be advocating for you to do so. I'm just
No, I know. So how do you solve this problem as a society? That's the issue. Like how do you solve this? All you can do is like stay away from them because or be a saint and
yeah, you just.
willing to put yourself in
I mean,
kind
treat
of-
them with a basic level of respect, but not like overly
Don't-
vulnerable
but
to
don't
them.
become like close friends with a psychopath because like
Yeah.
what's
Like,
it's like a wild.
is that too prejudicial? I don't know.
it's probably a good idea to not become intimately close with a psychopath. I don't
Don't
know.
marry a psychopath.
Should we like is that
that
bad? Am I being a
acceptable to say?
bigot? Like I don't know. Like at what point does something become just dangerous? Like 'cause
I feel like
it's-
that applies to like all things, right? It's like,
should I not?
at what point does my
stigmatize-
like schizoid shit
Should I
like?
not
apply to
stigmatize
others?
like pedophiles?
Yeah,
Like that's my problem. Like yes, I'm gonna stigmatize pedophiles. Yes, I will actively stigmatize them. Yes. Am I
even if they can't control it, right?
Yeah, but like
even if they were born with it?
I think pedophile by definition implies more malice than saying like, oh, somebody had psychopathy. Like I don't know.
Malice?
You could have, like,
What?
pedophilic.
What? How?
Well, you could have like pedophilic ideations, but if you're like actively
Yeah, but
diddling
if somebody
children,
no,
then-
yeah, but no. What I'm saying is, if somebody has pedophilic ideations, I don't want to be friends with them, and I don't want them near my
yeah, no,
children.
I'm not.
But you know
Right.
what I'm saying? But does that make me a
Yeah.
bigot because I'm stigmatizing them for their thoughts that they're openly telling people or role playing
Yeah.
on the internet with?
I would say that it's like fine to be uncomfortable with it as long as you don't actively mistreat them or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna actively avoid them and actively.
Yeah,
that's
like,
fi-
if you
that's
don't
fine.
let them around
That's
your
fine.
children, like,
I just think that mistreating them if they haven't actually done anything is wrong.
I mean, yeah, I guess
Well,
so.
like-
Yeah, I mean,
like
I wouldn't-
what counts as mistreating, right? Like, is
Yeah.
not letting them around your children.
or
does
like
that count as
not wanting to
mistreating?
go to the same, not wanting to live in the same apartment building as them. Am I mistreating them?
Wanting to avoid
Yeah,
them.
like, where's the line?
Or wanting to
Yeah.
get, or
No, you're
finding
allowed
out,
to.
or finding out that they live near me, and then actively petitioning to get them the fuck out of my town. Is that?
Yeah, where's the
like-
line?
Ain't
Like-
your town pretty large, bro?
Well, I know, but you know what I'm saying. Like if you live, I don't know, not as big a town maybe or something.
Like, if like same apartment building or like,
Yeah,
whatever.
like where do we draw the line between avoiding and protecting yourself and in your
or like
kids?
if they go to the same like summer camp or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Oh no, but it's okay. They
Like-
just think about it. They don't
Yeah,
do
it's just
okay,
thoughts.
It's just thoughts.
Stop prosecuting thought crimes.
I don't want this person having these thoughts to have these thoughts about my kids. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with like
I mean, that's understandable, really. You don't
that
think
makes me
that
very
that just, I
psychologically
don't think that
uncomfortable.
I don't think that discomfort with that is wrong.
Yeah, but there's a difference between avoiding them and like forcing them to move out. Like that does seem like categorically different.
Well, it is different, but like, what do you like? Is that wrong to be like get out of my small town because I don't want you to be in proximity of the children of this town? Like,
Right.
because like, what if one day you decide that they're not just going to be thoughts? Like, How do I
Angst
know?
wants all
Yeah.
the
It's just an honor
pedos right
code?
beside all the psychopaths in the camp.
But also,
Where
to
Angst
be
wants-
fair, most child molesters aren't even pedophiles.
Well, that's that. I don't know about
Yeah,
most.
no, it's true. They're,
Almost,
Is that
right?
true?
they're
I've never
yeah.
heard that.
Yeah,
I don't
no, it
know.
is. It is true. It's a crime. It's
Like
a crime of
most child
convenience.
molesters aren't actually attracted to children. It's just that children are easier to
Oh
abuse.
wait, okay. So the two types of people that are most likely to hurt my children are pedophiles that are sexually attracted to kids, or psychopaths that would hurt my children because it's convenient. So yes, psychopaths and pedophiles.
Oh,
Thank you for making my
Not
point.
even.
Should I not stigmatize them?
I don't.
Says the
I don't think
camp
all. I don't think a lot of them are even psychopaths. I don't think they're even psychopaths.
Well, if you're willing
Yeah,
to,
I think
no,
that's what she's
that's
trying to say also.
how the fuck are they not a psychopath? How could anybody?
I don't know. I don't know anything about
The
that.
only
but
two
that's
types of people
Well,
that could do
well,
that.
most criminals.
No, but
mean,
Most criminals aren't psychopaths,
no,
are
Yeah,
they?
we
no,
fucked
they're
up.
not. Most criminals are not psychopaths. But there's two type of people that would take that action. The type of person that does some fucking loop-de-loops in their brain to convince themselves that what they're doing is ethically sound and morally okay, right? Or the type of person that knows it's not and doesn't give a fuck. That and the level of non-empathy that you would possess.
I feel like in a sense, non-pedophilic child molesters are kind of worse because like they're not even attracted to children and still doing it.
Yeah, and
I couldn't
that
hear what-
right.
and
There's
guess
like,
and
oh,
guess
the
what you have to
opportunity
be.
arose.
Guess what you have to be like that? A psychopath. There's no
Not necessarily.
how.
Yeah.
Explain how. Explain how.
I think Angst all the time thinks psychopaths everywhere.
No, that's stupid. Explain
No,
how.
I mean it's like, has pedophilia not been with us since our earliest history?
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's not
Yeah, so
not
is
give a fuck
psychopathy.
about their child.
Psychopathy's been with us. Since,
Yeah, but I mean,
Advent. No, but what I'm saying is
Either you know and don't care, or you don't know and don't care
like
about the effect on the child.
like it causes them like it's not good for them.
I mean, are
not
crimes
good
of
for them.
passion any worse than than diddling or rape? And normal people do that like all the time.
Nobody does a crime of passion where they molest a kid. That's stupid.
No, I'm just. Yeah, that's true.
Nobody's like, oh, I suddenly have an urge to molest a child. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like if they're a
If you have
pedophile,
an
right?
urge to molest a child, that would account for pedophilia.
And then they like regret it later and like,
No,
oh,
but
I
you
did
might have
something
an
horrible.
urge, but it's not an uncontrollable urge.
Yeah, even people that are attracted to children can still choose to not actually do
Yeah,
it.
they could still do that. Like, if I had that problem, I probably would have killed myself. So,
Yeah, like that doesn't absolve you of
like, but
responsibility.
like, I would actively, like, I would have jumped off a goddamn bridge, like, by now. I had plenty of other reasons in my life where I felt like that, and I dealt with mental health issues. But if that was one of my problems, easy choice, 100% easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Easy money.
but point is, but that's me and my morality and my issues, right? But point is, like, there's no way somebody can do that act. No, 100% that it's harmful and not be a psychopath. There's just no way.
I watched. I've seen.
Like, who can do that? Who
Go ahead.
can do that? Like, I get there's plenty of people that murder others that aren't psychopaths, right? That makes sense. Because what are the reasons you would murder others? To take things from the material gains, right? Power, status.
Yeah.
What would you gain
Yeah.
from the act of doing that to a child?
Well, I've seen a couple talks on this by like psychiatrists and stuff.
Yeah.
And they said like they gave an example of like for example if like there's a guy and the wife like leaves or dies and like they feel like they're like owed sex.
wait,
and they like go to trial.
sorry for interrupting, but that reminds me of a case where like there was this teenage boy that where his brother's wife was being sexual with him because the her husband wasn't paying attention to her.
What?
Yeah, can you repeat that one more time?
No.
Wait, I don't.
Yeah, but that's
I think that was something like that.
that's not just, oh, I'm so sad, I now have to fuck my fucking kid. Like, what? Nah, man, I don't buy that shit at all. I don't buy that shit for a
I mean,
second.
that's
I don't care how
that's not an
lonely
excuse. That's
how
not an
lonely I
excuse.
am. I'm not gonna want to do that. It's fucking crazy. That's like, I don't know what the fuck that is. And I guess with it, I guess with somebody, if they're dealing with someone that's a teenager, they can like use loop-de-loops a lot easier to be like, oh, but it's consensual, right? Because with their words, right? So then you have like that statutory situation.
Statutory, right?
Yes. I just don't like to say certain words too much on Twitch and YouTube. And
yeah, I didn't take that into account.
no, it's okay. But the point is, like, when you're talking about like a kid, like a little kid.
I mean, in the
It's
example,
a
in the
different
example that I
situation.
remember, that was a teenager, so that's not exactly the same as
No, it's not the
completion
same
term.
because even though it's wrong, and somebody could argue that it's just
I would
wrong.
I would say that it's easier. It's probably easier for the perpetrator to think of it as fine if
rationalize
it's a
it.
teenager.
To rationalize it.
Yeah. I mean, there is some extent, like it starts to get a gray zone, right? Like the age of consent is 16, right? I think, and there is.
Well, it
where I
depends on
live,
where
it's 15. Where I live, the age
for
of
us
consent
it's
is
18.
15.
In the U.S. it's 18, and there's certain states where it's a little different. And then I know in the UK it's 16.
In France, it's 15, and so 15 is kind of normalized in my head as a possibly acceptable age. So I'm a bit weird about the concept of teenage ages, but I've never been attracted to an actual teenager. I know.
Yeah, good for you. But point is,
I mean, to be fair, I don't actually know any teenage girls, so it's really a conceptual thing.
But what I'm saying is that, like, even when you're talking about teenagers, and it's been researched, it's not good for them to do these things, but you could still make some kind of like philosophical, ethical. You can rationalize why it should be 16, why it should be 17, why it should be 18, why it should be 15. Like, different countries have different ideas and different, like, there's ways you can make arguments, even if I
mean,
ultimately don't agree with them.
The age of consent isn't actually about isn't really about what age it's moral to be involved with, but more so at what age the person is considered to be able to make their own decisions in that regard.
Because taking advantage of someone
which is also why usually the age of consent has an exception for adults who have authority over the minor.
No, but what I'm saying also is, why is it that that's important to us? Because of morality.
Sorry for interrupting again.
It's still
Well,
moral.
I mean, so even for that authority thing, it's very poorly applied in France. It's like there was that case where a court determined a father and his 15-year-old daughter as consensual.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. That's fucking horrific, dude. That court should be fucking removed. Holy shit.
Yeah. Incest is legal here, so you get stuff like that.
Is this why everyone hates the French? Anyway. But like, there's just too much. We're in an age when we understand the consequences of our actions to a empirical level, because it's been studied and actively researched for a significant period of time. So incest is not good for anyone involved in it unless they decide to one, it has some psychological matters
I
that
I
are
think
probably, but
I think for incest there could be an exception for like
cousins or
relatives
something,
relative that they don't grow up around each other and meet later in life, but that
or even
would be
like
the only exception.
cousins of like moved apart cousins, like cousins by like or something like that. Maybe you can make
Yeah,
some.
I think the only case where incest might be fun is if they didn't grow up around each other and stuff.
Yeah, but even
Yeah.
then,
No,
like you have they'd have to like.
Talk to the Amish, to the Mormons.
Yeah, but even then,
yeah,
should they be having children?
yeah.
Like, is
In a lot of
I
places,
mean, I wasn't speaking in terms of procreation, just the act itself.
let's just hope they take their pills and he wears a condom, right?
yeah, yeah. There are a lot of cultures around the world that do first cousin marriage.
Yeah,
I think the main reason they do it is for like wealth conservation,
yeah,
or like keeping wealth in the family.
yeah,
But yeah, that's pretty common. And they do. I watched a documentary on it, and like over generations, you can start getting genetic problems and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Under 5
You
generations,
could
is that what you said?
no, I didn't say that. I just said over some generations. I'm not sure how many.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, but of course you can fix that with pre-implantation genetic screening. That's what should be done in those cases.
There you go. Problem solved. Start fucking your brothers and sisters. like, but anyway, back to the. I don't know how we got here. It's so horrible. But yeah, anyway, there's just no. I just refuse to believe that when it comes to somebody that's like under a specific age, like if you're talking about like a 5-year-old, right? There's no loop de loops there. There's no
Like unless
you could do them
unless
and you're
like
delusional.
unless someone has some really weird ideological positions that they'll know that
Yeah,
being
that's what I'm
sexual to a
saying.
5-year-old would be harmful.
So it's either
Yeah.
some pedophile that rationalized themselves into the position that they can gratify whatever it is they're trying to gratify, or it's a psychopath.
You're the only case outside of like contact maps where they could really rationalize it as not harmful is for like child molesters will limit themselves to doing it in the child's sleep, and even then
Yeah,
it's still wrong,
please
obviously.
don't. I don't want to talk about the specifics.
Sorry.
Thank you.
It just reminded me of a specific case where he specifically like only allowed themselves to.
Yeah, I get it. But point is that's those
Compassionate
people.
molesters.
Those should I not stigmatize those people? And then the other ones are the ones that just do it out of convenience, which are the psychopaths. So
Yeah, like who deserves stigma?
yeah,
Right.
who can we stigmatize?
Like who are allowed to stigmatize?
Yeah, who are we not allowed to stigmatize, and who are we allowed to stigmatize?
I feel like
Stigmatize
stigmatize
me.
itself has been stigmatized.
Yeah, stigmatization is.
If someone says, "Oh, you're stigmatizing that,"
Yeah,
then that automatically implies like, "Oh, that's bad that you're stigmatizing
Oh,
it." That's like
oh,
maybe
Hold on.
it deserves to be stigmatized.
also something odd about the thing the thing I mentioned about my thing regarding adolescence is the only person who really reacted negatively to that is someone who more or less preyed on me. So that's coming from them being judgmental about that really feels like they don't really get to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I also heard like some people, like people with developmental delays, they can also be offenders, especially if it's really severe. Like if somebody has the cognitive capacity of a 5-year-old, then you get into tricky situations where like they might be even in school with other 5-year-olds, and like yeah, they can get, but they're a full adult with like sexual urges and stuff. Yeah.
I feel like that ties into the whole discussion about like they can't control it, but you know, can we still judge it? Right?
What, for these people specifically, or just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Like
these people.
like if somebody can't control something, can we still judge it? Can we still say like, oh, that's bad, and you should do that?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm a determinist, right? So like technically, you can't control anything in the absolute sense.
He wants to.
But you can still judge it.
I feel like it's honestly more of the
Calvinist
act, the
judge.
deed.
What was that?
I said Calvinist judge.
Yeah, I heard that. I didn't hear the other guy.
Calvinists.
Yeah, you know who they are, Protestant Calvinists.
Yeah. I do know that. Oh, they're like a religious group that like believes. I think they basically believe in like determinism and
Predeterminism, like God knows who's going to heaven, who's going to hell, all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like basically like you're not responsible for your actions, but you still go to heaven or hell. Yeah, come for a full circle back to religion.
I'm muted. I was muted the whole time. What the fuck?
Oh, I thought you just
Angst
stopped
muted?
speaking.
Was
Okay.
it no, I was saying if there was a group of people that the only way they could biologically survive, and this is fiction, obviously, is to feed them live babies, right? Okay, like they have to literally eat live babies.
Utilitarian monster.
No, some monster that has to eat live babies, or a group of people, human beings, just like you and me, with feelings and emotions and everything. But they have to eat live babies to live, right? Okay. How do we handle that situation? That it's a scenario. How do you handle that situation? Do we feed them the live babies? Do we let them starve and die and shut
Do
them
we
out from
breed
society?
live babies specifically for them?
Should we breed live babies without like consciousness so that they can eat them? What should we be doing?
That option sounds pretty good to me. Yeah.
It's like a Black Mirror
Well,
episode.
Yeah.
no, but what if we don't have the scientific ability to do that? We can't do that. We don't know how to make that.
I mean, do
So-
babies
so-
even
yeah.
have consciousness?
But they
That's a real
only
question.
have to eat one baby a year, and they secretly do so. or they find abandoned babies and
Do
eat them.
aborted fetuses count as babies?
No. That'll make
No?
it too easy. Too easy a solution.
Oh,
No, he said live.
Yeah, live full grown baby.
I mean, fetuses are alive
Like,
before they're aborted.
is that like a group we should like just like
Should we
essentially
court them?
like, eradicate via like not giving them access to what they need to live?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the simplest solution.
Yeah, I know, but
You might actually-
isn't that so mean of me? Am I not being so evil to them? It's not their fault. They
Angst
were
is
born
not
that
Yeah,
way.
it's not their fault.
It's not their fault.
You're so mean.
Angst
Yeah.
is-
I mean, this
It's
is
not the fault that the wolf has to eat your baby alive.
Yeah, like
Why'd you hurt
this
that
is an
wolf?
issue. I don't understand why so few people are on board are not on board with killing predators. Right? It just seems like such an obvious thing to me.
Well,
Killing predators?
Yeah.
like wolves and
Well, I
eagles.
mean,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, wait. Like, are you talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
all
like
animal
the
life
wolf.
that's
I mean,
predatory?
it's
Yeah,
not
we
the
already
first,
wiped. We
it's not the
already
first
almost
time I hear
wiped out
that
the wolves, bro. What the fuck are you talking about?
regarding carnivorous animals. It's not the first time I hear of the position of someone of some people being in favor of eradicating them.
Wait. Regarding
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Yeah, but wait. Were you talking about like animals that are predators?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they serve a purpose.
Yeah, they keep the prey population in check.
Yeah,
Well,
otherwise it
I
blows
mean,
up.
well, a lot of them are unnecessary. Like there are examples, like for example, Yellowstone Park is an example where they've successfully eliminated wolves with little to no problems. Probably no problems.
Sure, but what about it? That's for our purposes. That's not for nature's purposes. What have you? Why fuck with nature?
Oh, what? Why? I mean,
Yeah.
we fuck with nature all the time. That seems like
Well,
Yeah, that's
like,
all we do.
Yeah.
no,
We
yeah,
also got conservationism going on right
yeah,
now.
but I'll be honest,
all-
it gets into this weird territory of like speciesism,
That's
right?
right, man.
Like,
what does?
of
brother is
eradicating
species.
any animal that's inconvenient to us.
They should be
Well,
Well,
Like
that's
our
not
progress.
speciesist.
Well,
It's
because
not speciesist to
Because
kill
it's
a predator.
Sound speciesist to angst.
no, I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, so eradicate all wolves.
Hmm.
Okay.
I mean, mosquitoes kill more people than
I
wolves.
was gonna say the only living thing on Earth that I would want to eradicate are mosquitoes.
Yeah,
And
but then there's fucking
Mosquitoes
full
can be
food
brought
web.
down a lot, but they're super hard to fucking bring down. So
no, but it would be mosquitoes and
well,
certain types of
yeah,
insects, but like because they don't
Yeah,
actively produce anything, and
Yeah,
they can't, and
yeah.
you can't.
It's
hurt
actually
them, so
Aren't they
feel
a major
pain.
it's actually really
Yeah, they're a major food source for a lot of different animals. So
Oh, yeah.
if you
Oh shit! You
eradicated
can't get rid of mosquitoes now. Damn
mosquitoes, you would eradicate
a
like
bunch of fucking
basically the whole
frogs
food
and
web.
Fucking oh my
Yeah.
god!
yeah, what they did
Bats,
do, though,
all that.
Damn it!
they like made it so that the mosquitoes couldn't carry malaria. Like genetically engineered some and released them. I think
Yeah,
they
that's
made a whole
fine.
lot
Yeah.
of mosquitoes.
Now
that
they're
can't
just
carry
annoying.
malaria.
Just
instead
make
of
it so that they
dangerous.
don't.
Kill you, yeah. So
Yeah,
there you go. How about this? How about we just instead of killing all the wolves, we somehow
we just
capture all
engineer
wolves
their
and-
DNA.
yeah. we just
I think we should make angst adopt
we just
a wolf.
capture all wolves and then breed them
Nope.
into domestication and then breed them
Already did that.
into extinction. No, but breed them out of
Oh,
breed them
Not
into
into
extinction.
no.
Yeah, we breed them
Already-
into
already practically did that
worthless
even.
little like
like the
pugs
whole
and stuff.
ecological engineering stuff.
Little purse dogs that you carry around in your purse.
There you go. Problem solved. You don't have to kill the
Little
wolves.
terriers.
2 generations and they won't even know what being a predator was like.
yeah. There are alternative options besides killing him, but just killing him is the most practical solution. But yeah, there are actually plenty of solutions. Right, we can capture them and feed them in vitro meat. Is one option.
Or we could just leave them alone and not like.
I don't think that's acceptable. Right, that is like an ethical catastrophe.
Why? Because they.
Ethical L.
Why? Because they occasionally kill human.
No, because they eat other animals
Your
alive.
babies.
Oh, okay. So you're thinking about the method in which they kill the other animals. So you're quantifying it by the amount of suffering occurring.
I mean, that's the main thing.
No,
I
I'm
mean-
guessing that's why. If like say wolves had like some kind of like super cool venom that like when they bit the animal it would like
Night
That's what snakes have.
shut down their
Yeah.
brain and kill them in some gentle way.
You're describing a
and eat them,
snake.
then you would be like, "Oh, wolves."
If they had opioids like in their saliva and
Yeah.
claws and stuff like that would take away like 99% of my issue. I mean, I still
okay.
think
Just a
maybe
snake.
there's an issue with the killing itself, right? There's still some problems there. But yeah, but that would be pretty much.
So,
That,
I mean,
so
I really
you're
expect
fine
it.
with killing as long as it's pleasant.
Well, no, I'm saying I do have some issue with the killing as well.
So,
but
like,
really,
if
not
some
really
guy-
an issue.
but that's a huge
So if
line
some
you just
guy
drew
comes up
between
behind
not
me
eradicating them and eradicating them.
and injects me with heroin and then slaughters me, that's fine.
I mean, not entirely, but the vast majority of my issue with that is gone.
Well, there you go.
Oh,
As long
well,
as it-
I have no response to that.
Oh,
How do you
that's
respond to
Hey.
that?
I don't know. I mean, I would just laugh personally, but so like no, because I'm just thinking about like okay, wolves, they have opioids, and now that's not a problem, and I'm trying to think of like other situations in which that's just not doable or viable. Like okay, you could take the go
I'm
full
thinking about-
extreme. Like how do you care about insects at all because they can't suffer, Santos?
No, I think they can suffer, but that's I guess this whole discussion.
No, I know, but if like it can be proven that they literally don't have the nervous system to suffer.
Like slugs.
Like they just don't have a nervous system. They don't feel pain.
Can they experience anything in this
No, that's
hypothetical?
it.
Yeah, are you a slug? Do
Well,
you
I mean,
know?
I think most insects don't experience anything.
Yeah, so if I mean in that case, yeah, it doesn't matter. Obviously, it's the same thing as a rock, then,
Like
right? If it
I
doesn't
don't think
experience anything,
gnats feel anything.
yeah. I mean, I think they probably do, but
How?
yeah. How? I mean,
think-
don't they have brains?
Yeah, I think they feel proportionally to their brain matter, right?
Well, to some degree,
It's
but
like a little bit.
in many ways, I've
I
seen
mean,
studies
I can't
about-
really, I
I've
can't
seen-
really say
I've
because
seen-
I'm not a gnat.
No, but no, there's been like tests and such that have been done on this matter pertaining to like what it is they're actually reacting to and whether it's pain receptors and because they don't possess pain receptors, they only possess the ability to recognize that something like it's not even recognition. It's like they're almost like
It's just a chemical reaction.
well, a lot of insects. I'm not saying all insects are the same, but a lot of insects are literally just organic automatons.
Well,
I mean,
or do they have like vision? Like, I think like if you have
Well, they
vision,
have,
you have
like,
some.
yeah,
some-
but like I can give my computer vision.
Yeah, but I think
I mean,
that's disanalogous, right? I mean, it's
No, but what I'm
It's a
saying is
different-
that
All human
something
is
you can get of a
to a
robot
greater degree.
vision. Having vision doesn't mean experience,
Yeah.
no.
or does it?
I-
Does it
I-
quantify
I'm-
as experience? Like how
I
much?
mean,
how,
if
how
if
many,
you
how many sensory capabilities do we have to give this thing until?
okay, if you boot up Minecraft on a computer, right, and you turn off the monitor, does the world still exist?
You're stupid. But no, but I'm just thinking like if it's not aware of its own existence in any capacity and it can't also feel anything because it doesn't have the nervous system to feel like like at what point, because I know there used to be a myth that fish didn't feel, and that's not true. They discover fish can feel. And they can feel pain. But like a fucking a daddy long legs is probably not going to feel pain. And every time I don't kill one and I don't hurt one, it's because I'm anthropomorphizing it in my mind. Like
How
would
do
you
you
be
know
enough
they
to
don't
feel
feel
like a
pain?
baby with sleep or something?
What happened?
That's what I'm curious about.
Say it again.
Because if you had a baby with SEPA, like a baby that's like it's just been born and it can't really like think or anything, but it's got SEPA as well, so it can't feel pain. Would it be okay to like feed those to those baby eating people?
No, because obviously because I have moral intuitions about that.
Hang on, guys. Hang on.
Why?
Hang
What?
on, guys. Hang on.
What?
I just realized over on the schizoid psychopath, or sorry, on the angst psychopath forums, which is like the mirror image of schizoid angst, you know, the psychopath angst. They're discussing whether or not they should eradicate the schizoids.
Oh, okay,
Put them
wonderful.
in camps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're not affected.
Do
by
schizoids have
what we say.
experience?
No,
I'm
no.
saying it's
Do
the mirror image
schizoids
of this.
experience pain?
I'm not saying
Do they have pain neurons?
I'm not saying I'm not saying you should. That's why I don't kill daddy
They're just a
longlegs.
rock.
Well, daddy longlegs, they eat other bugs, so I
yeah,
shouldn't kill them anyway.
they're useful,
Yeah.
they're cute, and I just pick them up and I move them outside if they scare my child.
Yeah, I do think it's a good thing to kill spiders, right? Because they're predatory.
No, but if not, like, okay, if the spider's not feeling or experiencing anything, and the victim of its predatory action is not feeling or experiencing
Well,
anything.
how do you know they're not feeling anything?
Yeah, if that were the case, it wouldn't matter.
Well, you would have to get into the metaphysical then, and then
You have to climb into their neurons. You can't do that.
No, I'm saying you'd have to get into the metaphysical because there would be no system that's in place that would allow what we consider to be pain and experience in the same way.
I mean, how do I know that anybody else experiences pain? Like, how do I know that I'm not the only conscious being in existence?
Well, okay. Then
how do I know that they're not all just chemical reactions taking place in?
Okay. Like
that's the whole
Yeah, you keep
See, that's the real question. Is how do I know I'm not alone? How do I know that I'm not dreaming?
You just gotta pretend like you're not. It's okay.
Just pretend the spider isn't.
That's
dreaming.
why I pretend.
Just pretend
I pretend the daddy longlegs.
Yeah.
Is innocent and should be left alone and cute.
He's a cute little boy.
That's just me projecting shit onto it. Like that doesn't that doesn't mean that
it is what it is.
Yeah. But
what was your response to JCK? She was talking about like SEPA babies.
Oh, SEPA babies. Well, I still wouldn't hurt them. Why would I do anything to them?
Yeah, would you feed them to the monster?
I'm not gonna hurt them. I'm not saying. Look,
the utilitarian monster.
You could say, yeah, the SEPA baby can't experience anything to some degree at that point in time, but they might be able to later. And on top of that, like, I would still, do the same thing I do for the fucking daddy longlegs to the SEPA baby too. Like I would do.
No, but like, okay, I'm not saying this is what I would do.
Yeah.
But like, isn't the potential of the SEPA baby feeling something less important than the actual baby eating person feeling the hunger?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, its potential.
Yeah, but there wouldn't
equal
be enough.
to.
But no, sorry. No, sorry, I can't. Like,
well, if there's no hope of that baby becoming conscious.
Now, would I be behind manufacturing like little baby shells that don't feel anything and never actually they're just
like Brave New World shit.
Like just little baby shells that are born without a brain or something, and they just gotta
like a bunch of anecyphalic babies. You just isolate those genes and then you manufacture them on that.
Yeah, you just
breathe them in tubes.
Little meat pocket baby things.
Little hot pockets. Heat them up.
I mean, I feel like realistically, we'd just kind of legally define them as a separate species and hunt them to death.
But we wouldn't have to hunt them.
Yeah, we wouldn't have to hunt them. We just breed them. Sell them at Kroger.
No, not the babies. I mean, like the baby eating people. I think, like, realistically, we just define them as like non-human and then kill them.
That's probably what would happen.
No, I think we would just make a reality TV series based off them, and like like TikTok stars and like Netflix series.
And then
once they become irrelevant, we just
they're gonna be sitting there having drama while eating their little shell babies.
Yeah.
They're empty shell babies.
That just sounds to be like kind of on a similar level as people that deciding to just film it and laugh when they witness a physical assault.
All right, I gotta end the stream. I'm fucking tired. What the fuck am I doing here? All right, bye everybody. As usual, when days dark, always remember happy day. You guys can stay and talk. Nobody's gotta leave. I just can't stream this shit.
I thought we were done a long time